We're live with Adil Johan.
That's
Welcome
new.
to the waiting room. Yeah, that's new. Sorry about that, folks. We had Zoom decided to talk to us. Did anybody
Yeah,
did anybody order that?
Good
What's
old
going on?
Zoom.
yeah. How come there's this chick suddenly? I
I
thought,
don't know.
Zoom
oh,
speaking up.
yeah, fucking
Fair enough.
robots, man.
Anyway, Adil, welcome to the waiting room.
Thank you. Thank you for
Hey,
having
yeah.
me.
Yeah,
It's an
welcome,
absolute
Fliz.
pleasure.
Thank you
So,
so much. So
How are
happy to
you,
be
Adil?
here. I'm all right. I'm surviving. Um,
guys
just
like you and Asmal have got actual jobs. Like you are okay. Don't be worried.
yeah, we're very fortunate. We're very thankful. I
Yeah.
speak for myself. I guess I'm very thankful that I have a job, but I would also be in. Am I allowed to swear in
Of
this? No.
course,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
just
man.
fucking say
I would
anything
be
you
in
want to
fucking
say.
deep, man, guys. I would be in fucking deep shit.
Irish.
Right. All right, no censorship. Excellent. I would be in
Yeah.
fucking deep shit if I didn't have a job because I'm raising two kids
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
who are both
You
under
got
five
really
years
real
old. So
responsibilities, like so.
yeah, responsibilities.
Shout out to your
So
two
yeah,
kids
but it's a tough one.
who say your two kids were absolutely genius during the Uriah attempted photographs. I think there's
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
it was so funny. You
I
can
hope
tell.
it brought some joy
Oh
to
man,
all of you to see the
it just
struggles behind the scenes.
it gave me a rise. But it reminded me of me when I was five and about what my parents had to go through with my crazy ass. Like so, like it was
Yeah.
funny. You and your wife saying this was attempt number 255 and stuff like that.
247 shots were taken.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
Well,
But you all had
what
put
else?
a
I mean,
day
what else you
aside
gonna
to
do
sort
this
it out.
Raya, right? Sorry, Brendan.
But you all had put a day aside to sort this out, lah.
Dude, I mean, it's MCO Raya. Like we couldn't visit anyone. We were
Yeah.
just stuck
yeah.
at home, so we might as well just hash it
Get
out, right?
get
And
dressed up and then just take photographs until we get it right.
How many outfits? Just one, lah.
oh yeah, I mean, just the one. I mean,
Just
you
You're
wouldn't have
lucky to
wanted
get
to
them
see
in
my
any
outfit
outfit.
before that. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You're
That is
so,
my outfit of choice would have been my birthday suit, but
so
it was Raya, not my birthday. So
my
You're s-
daughter, my daughter, all the photos progressively she looked grumpier because she's like, I want to get out of this
yeah.
this baju raya.
Baju
It's
was so
fucking
bad.
warm. It's
Yeah.
damn warm.
yes. Clothes. Why do we have them? Why do we
Yeah.
Yeah,
have them?
kids are liberated, man.
Like-
We're the one bringing them
Okay,
down.
everybody take off their shirt. Take off their clothes now.
Let's do it.
No.
Ah,
Like,
come on.
like no one. I'll just blind people. Just the whiteness is
Completely
it.
no censorship, lah.
Yeah, we did open. I did open. Ben Liu opened his shirt and I opened mine.
Hey,
Oh,
I
Ben-
also took
yeah,
off
Ben
mine.
was-
You also opened yours, yeah.
Ben was.
Only Ben lah.
No one needed to see. I'm like.
We had a moment.
I had watched that from my psyche. Asmal, thanks for fucking bringing that up again. So your son's obviously a complete mommy's boy because he didn't want to get out of her arms at all.
No. He is a mommy's boy. When mommy's around, he's a mommy's boy. When mommy's not around though, he's got no one else to hold on to but me.
Okay.
Reluctantly.
We're all male. I think we're all mommy's boys. I
Of
think.
course.
Yeah, I guess we are in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're into chicks, man.
Okay.
Are we talking about Freud tonight? or
No,
what?
no. There'll be no fucking Oedipus complexes going on.
We
here
are talk,
today.
we're getting
Absolutely
into
not.
we're talking about academia, so
Yeah,
we're
we're
getting
talking-
into
yeah, we're like-
cerebral stuff.
Listen, I'll bring Marina over if she wants. She's the psychologist. She can just sit and talk about that all day long, and then I'll leave and then come back in for the fucking ethnomusicology part of it. Like, the history of Malaysian music, but in relation, I think we should dive in where you guys, both you and Asmal, sort of know the scene and from the 50s onwards, because if we go back into like I don't know what your knowledge is of the archaeology of Malaysian music from the Gamelan days back, post-colonial days. So we could go in there if you want to, but I'd rather just go step in where your book starts off, and especially around about the Malaysian music as it relates to film and the music scene, the Malaysian music scene, just pre-independence, and then how it's built up post-independence. If that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. Like, no,
Long way
I mean, I got that. Yeah, the thing is, the problem with talking about the history of Malaysian music, is the question of when does Malaysia start,
That's what we want. That's
right?
good. Like yeah,
Yeah, which is
And you-
exactly what you said. Then you
yeah,
ended off with talking about pre-independence and post-independence, and then, and the problem, like for me, the problem is Malaysia.
yeah.
The problem is
What
the
does
nation
Malaysia
state.
mean as
Yeah, I
as
think
a
the problem
country?
is nations
Yeah,
in general.
yeah,
So what
Yeah.
happens then is that we're forced to limit our questions about our history within this very rigid
border.
framework of what a country is.
Yes.
You know, when and for those of us who end up digging deep into that history, we find out that that's a very difficult box to fit
Well,
into.
there's no actual real borders because borders are just arbitrary lines designed by somebody who won a battle at some stage or another. Like so
Yeah, absolutely.
so
I mean, borders are actually fictional, but they play out in very real ways. Yeah,
unless you're an island state like Ireland or Britain or
right.
something like that, where there's a clearly defined this is
Or
our
Singapore.
piece of
Or
land.
Singapore. They were Malaysia.
Or
Singapore
Singapore.
was Malaysia. And
Yeah,
everything that's
Exactly.
Malaysian, the music that, that we were pop yeah, right?
yeah.
They've taken
So,
that, right? Right.
well, that's what we want to get into. Shall we? We're going to get into
Yeah.
that. So, like,
Yeah, let's
okay,
get into that. I think this
from
is a
your point
great
of view,
platform.
Adil, what is it? Is it Malaysian music to you, or is it Malayo music to you? What is the scene as you've seen it from when it started its birth?
I mean, I think for me, it's music is an inherent kind of human activity and practice, right?
Absolutely.
So when we start putting the labels of Malay, Malaysian, Malayan, even regional labels, then we start to exclude
The
different
influences,
people
yeah,
and
the influences
influences, right?
that came in.
Exactly. I mean, there are two ways to look. You can look at it. We can look at Malaysian music as something that is exclusive, or we can look at it as something that's inclusive. Of
Okay.
course, I take the position of the latter. And Malaysian music has this potential as a label, as a category, to be this very inclusive space
Yeah.
that includes music and people and influences from all over the world. You know, there are very specific regional influences within Southeast Asia and within maritime Southeast Asia, also known as the Nusantara.
Yeah.
There are also very strong pan-regional influences from South Asia and from East Asia and whatnot. And we can't, because I study popular music.
Yeah.
So once you get into popular music, then the Anglo-American and African world, is immediately entangled into
Yeah, there is no
into
borders
that.
in that regard. Like it just all
Yeah.
becomes just
But the problem then is like, well, then that's just then everything. That's like saying, oh, I listen to everything. Hey man, what do you listen to? Yeah, I listen to everything, man.
world music. I
Typical
listen to
Malaysian,
world
yeah.
music, man.
Everything.
And
You know, it's
usually,
like-
you know how they thought that? Oh, you listen everything. Do you listen country? Oh no, bro, I don't listen country. You listen everything. Faster.
You listen to avant-garde free jazz. It's like,
Yeah.
what's that? That's not music.
There's nothing free about jazz. Let me tell you.
There is nothing free.
Yeah,
about
bro.
jazz.
I thought I have to pay no black tie,
Have you
never
seen
had
the cover charge at No Black Tie? That is definitely not free, man.
You've never had
There's
it
no
mix it.
free jazz in KL, man.
There's
There's no
nothing
free
free
jazz.
about jazz. Even if it is free,
Everybody's-
there's nothing free.
Everybody's felt that pinch, huh?
Yeah.
No black tie pinch.
I'm a member of the No Black Tie free corner, which is just that area right outside the curtain, right outside, literally the paywall.
Yeah.
That's where we hang out.
Even when I worked
but yeah,
there,
man.
I was a member of the free paywall. I've been standing
it's
outside.
great. It's great.
I'm not paying 100 ringgit.
One might argue that it sounds better from behind the curtain. I don't know.
Because yes, some of the high notes are diffused a wee bit. Like I agree.
That's true.
Yeah, man. That question is like a can of worms, right? For me to
Yeah.
answer it. I mean, of course, Azmil and I are in the business of frustrating you with our answers.
No.
Yeah.
Those
No,
answers.
this is all very
No,
informative.
This is what I
thank
this is what I wanted because like if I had been talking to someone else, then I would have probably got a very very ethnocentric view of Malaysian music from and like I really want to get into the ethnocentrism.
Oh
of-
yeah, I love to.
I really want because as someone from someone who's a master's in archaeology, ethnocentric archaeology was a big thing. Like the British with Piltdown Man and stuff like that were trying to prove they were the original, they were the human beings originally evolved in Britain, and then with the Nazis they tried to prove that they were the master race, and then with communism the whole Eastern Bloc was trying to prove that the Soviet Union were the master race, something like that. So ethnocentrism is very as a very human trait, especially when it comes to music, or especially when it comes to any art form. So like, I like the fact that you guys are more open and saying there is no borders when it comes to music, and we shouldn't clump it into just Malaysian music, but it has been clumped into one little fields by certain people. So can we talk about how the journey from the early days of like Pierre Ramley, where Pierre Ramley was from everybody, to kind of like now where it has become more ethnocentrically, kind of like rigid for race wise, like.
Yeah.
So you want to take us through that?
So yeah, I mean, it's a great example, Derek, of what you're saying, which is, like usually arts and culture starts off in this very diverse and open way,
Yeah.
where it's not very well defined. I can argue that a lot of like a lot of music acts, start off, creatively, like hey, and then you nowadays we're in this stage where a lot of bands that play don't really know what genre of music they are,
Yeah,
but
they're
for some
just
reason it
yeah
really matters because
yeah
you need that to market your music. So that's a whole other issue. But in the case of like music that started off as a kind of open thing and then it slowly gets more ethnocentricized, or
yeah
the word I would use is homogenized. So
yeah
we start off with a kind of heterogeneous approach to music. So think
yeah
about P. Ramlee, his music in the 50s and 60s, when Malaysia technically was about to form. It didn't really exist.
yeah
Singapore was still part of Malaysia. He's making music in Singapore. He's combining Malay Asli rhythms with bossa nova, with beguines, with Latin American music. He's got a little bit of jazz in there. He's got some saxophones. He's got some violins. He's got some joget going on. And every song he makes for every movie has a different vibe, has a different genre, and at the same time, it has a kind of a sense of unity to it, a
yeah.
distinction to it that is his sound, right?
There was certainly a local sound that he had, like that was
Yeah, and
distinctly
that local sound came from so many. So a lot of
yeah
one of the main sources was the Bangsawan Theatre.
yeah
And Bangsawan Theatre was a form of musical opera that was performed very popular in the Malay world, but it also has its roots to South Asia, to
okay
India and to Persia. It was used to be called Parsi Theatre, and it has different variations in Java, depending on the language that you speak. And but whatever it was very eclectic. It combined different musics, and it of course it used music that the people of the spaces, the locals, were interested to hear. And
yeah
there's this nice kind of mix of you want to give people something that they're familiar with, but you also want to entice them with something that they're not so familiar with.
yeah
You want to give them that little edge, the little difference. And I think that's what P. Ramlee and his contemporaries kind of did in the film era, is that um, they gave music that sounded familiar to Malay speaking kind of population. So this was music that was traditional or local to the area, to the region. But there was also this like other Western, Latin American, and other cosmopolitan elements of that music that would make it, or modern elements that made people say, oh, this is fresh, this is something new. You see, and then the problem then is now when we listen to it retrospectively, the ethno-nationalists, the people who really need to have a sense of racial identity,
yeah
and that's the be all and one all kind of thing. And then they applied that to music, which is very wrong. Like
yeah
it really doesn't work well. Then they try to say, oh, P. Ramlee is a Malaysian artist. He's a Malay artist. Look how
yeah
Malay his music is.
yeah
And that is a completely bullshit.
with no
Yeah.
context. They don't have the context of
Yeah,
how,
it's
where
complete
Yeah.
bullshit, but it serves their
Yeah.
ends. It serves their
Yeah.
ends to have an icon that fits their agenda.
well that,
So I
Yeah.
mean, I think this is a great opportunity for me to not be an academic. I don't have to be so polite, right? Like,
yeah
if you're
Yeah.
saying that about P. Ramlee, that's bullshit, man. I call bullshit.
yeah
Yeah.
And if you want to have a talk with me, we can.
yeah
Yeah. They hijacked Five Ramli, man.
but
Nothing else.
But I mean,
anybody
hard to
trying to
say
push
because P. Ramlee would have done the same thing. Like, I mean, he also hijacked his own music. So
That's
he in
true
the
as well.
70s, when people weren't listening to his music, he was like, we gotta uphold traditional Malaysian music. We gotta
That's
go
true.
back to the asli stuff. If not, all these
Yeah.
kids are listening to Hindustani music. They're listening to pot smoking Beatles music. You know, they got
Yeah.
long hair and stuff and mini skirts. We gotta get them to listen to traditional music. So Piramli was
Yeah.
also kind of like a victim, or he was also playing into that towards the end of his
Yeah.
life. But
Do you think that
we
was
don't
more?
know, is that
Do you
is that what he did because that was the times? Did he do that because he was feeling left out? Did he do that to get
because
attention?
Pure Amly
Yeah.
eventually ended up like broken, fucking like in a pauper. Like, do you think there's he was trying to do that to just to stay relevant? Like,
That's also debatable, Derek. I mean, that's kind of like the narrative that people like to hear
yeah,
is
Yeah.
this artist that crashes and burns, right?
yeah,
In the end. But
yeah,
Yeah.
if you read Lat's biography, there's a really cool chapter where he actually visits Piramli in the 70s, just before he dies. And the man is like, he's got jam sessions going on in his house in Jalan Dedap, in KL, in
Yeah.
Gombak. He's got jam sessions going on. He's like meeting Lat, a young reporter, and giving him a little, giving him his 2 cents. And then after that, it's, okay, kid, we're done. Okay, now it's time. My band is coming in, and we're gonna have a jam session now. So
Yeah.
it's like, like, I don't know. I mean, was he poorer than he was when he was in Singapore? Yeah, but was he down and out?
because that's
Yeah.
No,
People
I
like to play on that, right? They like
that,
the
yeah,
image,
they love
the,
to
the
play on
image
it.
of the,
Yeah,
the image of the overweight Piramli. He's like
yeah,
that,
that's
right? Like
that is
yeah,
the
that
that's the
classic image.
that's the
Yeah.
legend that's the legend that I was taught, that Pierre Ramley died as a
Yeah.
pauper, or died and out, ignored by the people who used to love him. Like, so,
that's an easy story, right? That's an easy
Yeah.
story. It fits really well into any dramatic narrative. So that's what I talk about. I try to dispel that myth.
good.
And then it also serves, a certain, when you create that myth, then it serves for the ethno-nationalists to be like, see, this is why we got to preserve our cultural
Yeah,
heritage in
because of
people
Pierre,
like this.
yeah, because if Pierre Ramley
Yeah.
can be left by the
Yeah.
wayside, anybody can be left by the wayside, because he created it, essentially created
Yeah.
like that whole scene. Like, so yeah, like
And
I
then
think
what ends up happening is that the only model for that, for national music icon, is P. Ramlee.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
everyone is being compared to that.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, there is no other P. Ramlee. So what?
Yeah.
We don't
Exactly.
need another P.
Yeah.
Ramlee. We need another Azmil, we need another Nathan Cruz. We need another
Yeah.
Derek Rush. We don't need another P. Ramlee. We need new people.
yeah,
You
that's
see,
true.
that's the
Yeah.
problem.
No, yeah, that's true. Like, there's like the young will always usurp the old and create something new, and that's not a bad thing. Like,
The old will always be anxious. There's all this anxiety about the new generation.
Yeah.
I'm sure we are about our about our younger generation.
Oh,
Yeah. We're
man.
like, what the fuck's TikTok, man?
I'm sure you and Asmil even more with children.
We are.
Yeah. Who knows what they're gonna have, man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I feel like we'll never know, right? Because as that older generation, you will never know what will be the next thing, and you'll never know how much you won't like it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
But
That's true.
can we keep an open mind about it? I think we can. I think the attitude has to change. I think this
Yeah.
whole drive towards purity is the problem.
Like,
When
I
people
see
have
that.
these ideas like, we got to be pure, we got to maintain our values. Hey, you guys watch TV, right? So I was recently you guys watch Netflix, right? I was recently
Yeah.
watching Jupiter's Legacy.
Oh,
I
wanna
watched that
start
as
it.
well. Watch that as well.
that
Yeah,
good?
yeah,
Yeah.
watch that as
It-
well.
it's
I
it's
see
kind of
that.
like it's all about this. It's about this intergenerational tensions,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
happen,
yeah.
and how values change over time and shit like that.
The
So
girls, the girls.
Okay,
do-
let's stop and watch an episode right now.
the girls are
Let's do it.
arseholes. The girls are arseholes in that though.
No, I haven't seen any. Yeah.
The daughters.
no, Azmil is anti Netflix.
No, I'm not anti-Netflix. I finally watched Netflix. A friend gave me his account because he's like, "You haven't watched, dude? Here's my password. Watch it."
Nice.
Wait,
But I
why are
ended
you
up- I didn't-
anti-Netflix, Asmil?
No. Not anti-Netflix. I ended up watching just all the old movies that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like,
The daughters,
I
though,
don't-
the
I don't-
daughters, though, in Jupiter's Legacy are assholes, asshole daughters. I mean, they're really,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah.
awful human beings, like just fucking spoiled brats. You just want to,
is that like a series or what?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a superhero series, like, but as Adil says, it's a whole about intergenerational, like inter conflicts and stuff like that. They're about like responsibilities and like growing up.
I just saw Ip Man yesterday for the
Ooh,
first time.
nice. Your first
Oh,
time
Iman, the first one.
First
first
time
Ip
I'm
Man.
watching. Yeah. First time.
Ah, classic. No, that's the danger of Netflix. I mean, I don't do series because then you gotta come back and watch. Only
Nanti
I only
sangkut.
watch like Adil gave me you gave me a thumb drive of what's that
The
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
It's
I haven't seen it yet.
way after it was
Try to stay away
way
from
after it's like
Star Wars as much as I can.
Oh yeah, you're a Trekkie, right, Derek?
No, I'm nothing. No, hold on. If I was anything like like I've seen loads of Star Trek previously and more because Marina's a huge Trekkie but the only kind of sci-fi series I ever got into hardcore was Stargate SG-1, which I loved.
Oh,
Whoa,
nice.
man, that was a while
Very classic.
ago.
Yeah, I love that.
But I love Stargate. Like Richard Dean Anderson, you got MacGyver in it. Like what
Richard
the
Dean
hell else?
Anderson, yeah.
oh, you mean the
Simon
movie
and
lah?
Ben,
I
like,
No,
love
no,
the
no.
movie.
I like the
No,
movie.
no,
But
no,
remember
the
TV
series.
the TV series.
There's a
Oh, I
TV
never saw the
series
series.
also.
You've
I
never
didn't
seen the
follow.
TV
Richard Dean
Oh,
series?
Anderson.
Series, yeah.
didn't follow. Okay.
It's the
Oh,
longest.
MacGyver was in it also. He
Yeah,
was in it
Yeah.
also.
it's the longest
Yeah,
run.
yeah.
It's the longest. It was the longest run sci-fi series of all time. It ran for about 11
Right.
years. Like, but
I
it was
used to
really
watch
good.
it every week with the
Yeah, it
family.
used to be on TV3, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Love
I think
Stargate
by the time
SG-1.
Stargate came on TV, I was on to other things, not TV anymore.
Oh, this was the
Yeah.
the mid 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think by
correct.
then I was renting videos.
Okay. Yeah. What sort of videos are you renting
So
videos?
the 90s was a
Yeah,
segue, unsegue. 90s was a very important time for Malaysian music as well.
that's
While we
true.
were consuming all this media, this global media, right, on mass media, Malaysian music was popular music was taking this really interesting turn.
Yeah.
And Azmil and I were kind of reminiscing about that period as well.
Yeah. Go on.
You have like
So
for
there.
the first time in a long time, you have Malaysian alternative rock bands
Okay.
successfully releasing English songs for Malaysian public.
Is
You
that
know?
like as someone from like from my background, it seems to be a big thing that English songs generally are they looked down or were they looked down upon for a long time? Like
What wasn't locked down, but I
no,
would say people say like,
no, but
no, who's gonna listen to you?
local
Yeah,
bands releasing English songs.
yeah.
Was that looked down upon? Like were you expecting
By
to write
by
like
by the
songs?
major labels, by the major
Yeah,
labels.
the label, it wasn't a good
Yeah.
business, like because
Mm.
Malaysians being the English speaking, colonial post products that we are, we consume English language music a
Yeah,
lot. I mean, those of us who speak English will listen to English music from the US and the
yeah,
UK,
of course.
you know and our radio charts are dominated by these songs which are circulated by the major labels,
Yeah.
right, the global major labels. So it doesn't make sense for a major label back then to record an
Mm.
English speaking local band because you ain't gonna get no traction.
Okay, so
You
it
know,
had to
That's
be.
Malaysians
But that's
themselves are like, oh, they're not,
but
Malaysian English band,
that's
ew.
so redundant.
Why?
It's such a
Yeah,
redundant way
that
of
was the
thinking.
attitude actually.
If the
Yeah.
songs, the song, a good song's a good song. Doesn't matter what language it's in.
No, but there were a lot. There were a lot of alternative rock bands that were signed to like Pony Canyon that flopped. That sang English. We only talk about the ones who made it, like Nice Stupid Playground, OAG.
Yeah,
But there were bands like Apple Green. There were Dead Mushroom.
what does flop mean? Like that seems to be a like I've had
mean,
that argument. Had that argument for a long time with bands like.
I mean, the Malaysian sense simply that they released one album, that's it. They were dropped.
But
they weren't promoted by the label, and yeah,
but
it's a shame.
does that mean they flop to the? For
They
me,
flopped in the market lah. They flopped in the
maybe
market.
flop in the market, but like success should be whatever the band deems success is, and like of a
Yeah, but
of
the
a
bands
band.
Yeah,
just
of course,
but the
yeah.
bands just disappear after that. They get very disillusioned. There was a band called the Beats, like I was saying, Adil, one of my students. His dad was the drummer of the Beats, this Chinese fronted English band that was signed to Pony Canyon, and it seems to be that. Because I was in college then, I thought like, whoa, cool man, these bands are getting signed. Yeah, something's happening. But then you start realizing the bands that get signed, they just disappear, and because contracts, probably there's some contractual bullshit lah, where you
And
can't
nobody's
go on.
ever like, I mean, I don't know lah. Y'all have been in the scene longer, especially here. Won't it in the end come down to the people who are doing it? Like, if you're not really going to do it, then you just get caught up in the excitement, in the hype of how it went well for the first year. But then you'd rather take that safety net of your job again for the next 10 years.
It all
That's the
depends.
thing.
Like
I agree. Yeah, most of them
Ah,
took that route. So like
yeah.
maybe
if
it
the
was also technology.
if the
Because it wasn't.
if the label doesn't push you, then it can get very very
No,
fucking.
yeah, that's true. But
Like
you could have
I
like
know
a flop year with the label
yeah,
and
I
then
know
go on
bands.
for the next
Yeah,
9 years doing it yourself, you know?
I know bands in Ireland where the label didn't like them. They got signed, and then the label was taken over by another label, and that label didn't like them, and they were legitimately actually ruined because of they were deliberately ruined by the new label. Like there's a band called Curb Dog. It's a famous story. They released one of the best alternative albums of the '90s. I would I would plead with you to go and listen. It's called On the Turn by a band called Crib Dog. It's up there with Nevermind as one of the best alternative rock albums you will ever fucking hear in your lives. It is a masterpiece of alternative rock. They were signed, and they were. Everybody's going to say this is the next Nirvana. It was released in '94. Their label was taken over by another label. The new label didn't like them and put them on the same venue in London for 14 dates in a fucking row in London prior to the album coming out, and sickened the whole entire London so much of this one band that no one wanted to see him again after that. Like, so the label knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't want anything to do with them. They just put them on 14 dates in a row in one venue in London just to sicken because I was still at the time where London, as far as Europe was concerned, was the city to be in if you wanted to make it big in Europe. No one wanted to touch them after that. So like
I
labels
mean,
can destroy you.
I can give you a local example. Shannon Shah, a friend of mine, who who was signed after he won like a national competition songwriting, got signed to Pan Global or something, some label. And first album, it was a very sophisticated album. Had a bit of pop jazz,
Yeah.
and he won AIM Best Vocalist, man. Fucking award-winning, fucking talented guy, top guy, really nice guy. I mean, like the label was clueless. So this is the other end. The label didn't sabotage; it's just the
Yeah.
label was clueless
No
because
idea what to do with them.
he had one wonderful song called Angkasawan on the album. Beautiful song. And this was the time when we had our first astronaut. Like, he was just a joyrider going on the rocket. He wasn't a real astronaut, right? He was just anyway. I said, hey, your label not pushing that song, huh? It's like, yeah, I don't know. They just don't know what to do. It's like so over here, most of the time the case tends to be they're clueless or
No,
I don't know
it
lah.
can be like that back home as well, where the labels have no idea what to do with the band either. Like, there's no background in the
That's
music. They have
yeah,
no
right.
idea. And like when your business is trying to push, because labels, their business is trying to make as much money off music as they possibly can.
Yeah,
They should know what to do with every band on their books. They should but
that's true.
But
they're
how is it
fucking
there's so many like stories of them not knowing what they're doing?
because
Itulah.
because back in the
Ah,
day you were dealing with back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Maybe the early part of the 80s, but not really into the 80s. You're dealing mostly labels were run by people who were music
Yeah.
music aficionados. They were love music. But since the mid 80s, it was accountants and lawyers that took over the music industry, and then they became number counters. And once number counters came in, that completely destroyed the music industry. Like now, you get people who argue that was always there because labels always ripped off bands, which they fucking did. But once number counters came in, who have no affinity what they were dealing with, then they had no clue how to promote or push bands in any way, shape, or form. Uh,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
what you
like Adil. Adil, like the golden years of Malaysian recording industry. Which era would?
yeah, that's what I
I
was.
think
That
there
was
are
yeah.
different. I think there are different golden eras. I
That's one
think,
question I want to ask today. Like when I was
yeah.
reading
I
about the
mean,
golden era, what is the golden era like?
Golden
I would say
eras.
the pre-independence and pre to post-independence era would be
Okay,
the film era. That would be a golden era for music because was a very important medium for music to be consumed and enjoyed by the public, and it gave people a sense of, oh, this is our space, this is our kind of Malaysia, Singapore post independence kind of vibe.
okay.
And then
Mm,
there was another era in the 70s where there were a lot of records coming out. And
mm,
this was the pop, kind of like a pop classic era.
Alley
And
Cat
you had a
at
transition
all.
from, you had all the pop yeye Kugiran bands, the Malay pop yeye bands that featured singers, so you always had to have the band and the singer, or the singer with the band backing you up for that
mm,
sound. And then eventually, the band started becoming the feature acts in the 70s in the disco era. So you have the bands like Carefree, right? Which is kind of like the precursor to the Alley Cats as
Okay.
well. And these were bands that played for dance clubs.
Okay.
You know, and they were cover bands, but they also had original songs. They had to put out original songs for the records. And there were also pop stars that were getting big that were just marketed as solo artists. So that was I think that was a very important era because that's when people were actually buying records. And then towards the 80s, then you have the transition towards the cassettes, right? But that's also when you have a rise in piracy. Now there was piracy also happening with records as well,
Yeah,
but
of course.
it's so hard to see. I mean, I think people were really consuming a lot of music, but we don't
Yeah.
have any empirical evidence of how much they did because probably more than half of it was pirated
Pirated, yeah, of
products,
course.
right? But people are
Yeah.
definitely appreciating the product. They're appreciating the music,
Yes.
and I think the artists didn't care because they were playing a lot of shows.
And there's people there at the show.
Imagine you
So
could be a band
Yeah.
in the 70s. Brandon, imagine, right? You have a residency in a band 6 nights a week. You got a monthly salary, and every night you got to play like 3 hours of music. And you also alternate with another band or two other bands every night. So you've got a gang, you've got your members all there.
yeah.
Hanging out, man, every night.
It's like my dream job. Like that.
That's why.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
man.
can we leave it there for the first half of the show, and the second half?
Ah, okay, okay.
Well, I think we want to go into each distinct era of the golden ages, the film age, the 70s age, and then we discuss
Alternative age, which we started
alternative
the
age.
conversation.
Yeah,
That's
and
also
then-
very important.
And
Yeah.
I think like there's a few other things I really want to discuss, but like in the next half, definitely the film age and the 70s age. We'll go into the deeper and the who controlled it and what went through there. So we'll leave it for the first half, and then we'll just get back into it in about 5 or 10 minutes. Is that okay?
All right.
Okay,
And I guess we
Adolf.
got to log back in, right?
Yeah,
Well,
I'll send you another invite. Okay.
All right.
Okay, Adolf. Thank you very much. We'll see you in about 5
No
minutes.
worries. Thanks, guys.
We're part,
Yes.
part two.
Thanks, Zoom woman.
Thank you.
Miss Zoom. Miss Zoom.
Zoom.
Thanks, Ziri.
Miss Zoom.
So,
Miss
Zoom.
yeah.
Zoom.
Welcome back, Adil Johan. Welcome back. to
Dr.
Music
Adil
Lab.
Johan.
Thank you. Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Adil
Thanks for
Johan.
having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So,
Thanks for having me back. So I guess I didn't bore you guys too much lah the last
no,
round.
Absolutely not.
I mean, we were getting there. Like
You're very polite.
after a while,
Very
like
nice
we
guys.
messaged each other in the chat. We were like, guys,
Yeah, but
getting
it was a
sleepy.
collective vote.
Right? You know?
Free
Yeah.
democracy. So,
So, I was just googling what TikTok is so that I could be relevant.
there's two guys over
Waiting
40.
rooms to get
There's
on
two guys
TikTok.
over 40 here asking what TikTok is. It's a bad idea. Like,
Adil, you're not over 40. Adil is like 32.
the two guys
Ooh,
over
I'm getting
40
there.
here. Do
I'm-
the
no,
maths,
man.
Brendan. There's two
I'm
guys
38
over
this
40
year.
here. Do the maths, Brendan. Do the maths.
2 years to 40. So
Hey.
Brendan, what year were you born in? 2000.
Last train home, 89.
Yeah, nice. Last train home, huh?
Got a glimpse, lah. Got a glimpse of the past before I
That's
got
great.
into the
That's
future.
great. Did you get it when we were talking about MySpace earlier? Like
MySpace, I
that
got lah.
gibberish.
Ah.
You got it.
Asmund,
It must have been like a young teen, like a kid. when you had-
When
Did you have a MySpace account?
We were on MySpace. He was on Bebo. Guaranteed.
what is Bibo?
What? Are you serious?
Bibo?
You
I don't know what Bibu is.
Me
I don't know.
neither.
You know Bebo?
Is that like an exclusive Irish Irish network?
Yeah, Bibu. All right.
You know what Bebo
That's a
is,
cute fucking name.
We were- I mean, but Derek, obviously you had IRC and ICQ.
Yeah,
and,
ICQ, ISOD.
Like
Not
you
that.
gotta understand, I'm working class Irish. We didn't have any internet until like
You had no
late
internet.
90s, late 90s. Like friends would have the internet. Like you go over to watch porn and like
Same lah.
Wait
But
for
like,
that
20
Pamela
minutes to start
Anderson
off for a
poster to
picture.
download, right?
Yeah, just up to her neck, and then you have to refresh, and then you just imagine lah.
And then the parent.
I
go-
watch porn. I
and
watch
then-
porn on VHS, man.
Yeah. That's what we.
those VHSs.
That's what we used to
Ooh,
do.
those
Like
cassettes.
that's obviously what we used to do. But then when they had internet, oh, it's easier to watch porn. And then the Muller would shut up. I need to use the phone, so I would just ruin the fucking 20 minutes to download a picture. And then the
Oh,
picture's just
man.
ruined by the Muller. Need to use the phone for 5 minutes.
Good old nothing beats good old VHS, like
Nothing.
and parents back then were so sloppy at hiding their porn.
Yeah, mine was just in my dad's cupboard.
Every parent had porn.
My dad had some Playboys actually.
You-
He had a few Playboys.
You know what was in his cupboard? VHS Kama Sutra.
Wow.
Oh,
The
they-
movie, the Hollywood.
And no
the
cover
Hollywood-
line, the label said Kama Sutra.
No,
the stick.
no, it's in the cupboard, so like not filtered.
You know the lah.
It's unfiltered in the cupboard.
we knew what the porn videos were because they were never marked. But do you know on a VHS when the thing's broken off so you can't tape over it?
Yeah.
The wee thing,
Yeah.
the wee black thing's broken off.
Yes.
We
Yes.
knew
Yes.
Those are the porn videos. So like
Yeah. Because that's a keeper. That's a keeper, right? Nobody can tape over.
tape over it, like so. Any kid watching this, anybody under the age of 35 watching this, you have no idea what we're talking about. But like,
But we're still on point. We're talking about history.
yes, this is all.
It's
this
all
is
history.
Right. So the golden age of Malaysian.
I cannot believe you just segued into porn.
Hey, sex is everywhere.
Sex
Yeah.
everywhere.
Music.
Golden
and
age.
sex,
Yeah.
Haram kalwat.
Yeah.
That,
So-
that's, that,
Can you imagine? Okay, so I've got a book. Okay.
there you go, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got this.
Hey,
shameless
article on
Said
capitalism.
music.
Raihan.
Shameless
This is
advertising.
the famous Malaysia's most famous group and probably most commercially successful group globally
Okay.
from the 90s. Raihan, a full-on hardcore nasyid, band. They revolutionized nasyid music globally.
What is nasyid?
So nasyid
music?
is
It's
a
praise and
religious
worship.
kinda Islamic religious music.
Yeah.
And Raihan, what they did was that
I thought music is fucking haram amongst a lot of Muslims.
no, it's not if you do it in this way, in this manner. Like so, the pure way.
Oh,
of
they were,
doing
yeah.
music, in Islam was
They were like the Beatles, man. In Malaysia,
yeah, they're
Raihan.
huge. They're the rock stars of the Islamic music world.
Okay.
And nasyid
Yeah.
now is like nasyid now sounds like pop. Like nasyid now is
Yeah.
like I've heard like a hip hop track that was a nasyid song.
Yeah.
You've got people playing acoustic guitars and singing nasyid. Back then, they were very strict about if nasyid music. If
Why am
you're
I
singing religious music-
why am I hearing
Yeah.
noise shit in my fucking head?
Noise shit?
Nashid.
Noise shit.
NASYID.
How it's spelled?
NASYID.
Okay, but so, the way you're saying it sounds like me noise shit. So I'm just
Yeah,
like,
nah
fucking,
shit,
I'm
yeah.
trying to deliver this.
No shit, nasyid.
Hey, but Adil, who are those 5 chicks behind? There was like a silhouette of.
Oh man, these aren't chicks, man. These are little kids. You see, so
Okay.
Oh man.
They look they look like feminine.
Whoa.
They, from far they
No,
look
no,
like
no, no,
they
no.
look like the group the
Yeah.
90s girl
Yeah.
group feminine.
only because
This is all wrong.
part
now.
of this
gone
group's
sideways
success
now,
was
so
that their
this-
songs were like nursery rhymes. They were like very they were simple and catchy, but they were also to appeal to children. But they were a huge international phenomenon.
Yeah.
They were playing to sold out shows in the UK and all over the world.
I used
And
to
they
memorize their
commercialized, they
music lah.
successfully very much commercialized Islamic religious music.
Okay.
And,
Yeah,
and they were actually signed by Tony Fernandez.
there you go. It's-
Yeah, well, he was on was it Universal? I don't know which label, but yeah, he was way ahead lah. He saw that as
So
something.
Tony
Wasn't a
really,
Muslim guy.
So Tony really did try to do the whole Richard Branson thing record label.
Yeah,
all-
completely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came from the music industry. He came from there.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. So
Way ahead of.
Nashid, how successful were they?
like very successful. Like
Very
I mean,
successful.
they would. I mean, people
Like
forget
Backstreet
that
Boys
they're probably the
successful.
first globally successful Malaysian group and export. In fact,
Really?
Malaysia it was one of Malaysia's artistic exports in the
Yeah.
90s was nasyid
Okay.
music. by
Even
Raihan.
more successful than Sheila Majid.
Oh yeah, man, way more successful.
Really?
Way more because they had this appeal across the whole international Islamic.
The Muslim world.
You know, market.
1.6 billion people like your song. That's
Yeah.
I mean,
huge
young
reach.
people as well. Like I mean, because it was music that was that young people. It was catchy.
Yeah.
People liked it. It was also a bit different. It was it was
Very
raw.
unique.
You know,
Yeah.
it was unique. It had a lot of percussion. They used a lot of Malay percussion and Eastern,
Gamelan and stuff like
Asian
that.
percussion, and and they sang in an R&B style. So they would sing a cappella with all this percussive backing, and they
Oh,
would
dope.
harmonize
Was
in
it
R&B style. So they
was
were
it
like the
was it in
boys to men.
Arabic or was it
No,
Arabic?
they would sing
Malay.
in a mixture of Malay and Arabic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like verses, like simple verses from the Quran or simple prayers that then become songs, or
Yeah.
chants. And yeah, I mean it's some, and you know Steve Taunton, right, Derek?
Yeah, of course.
So Steve Taunton was one of the main like recording artists on their albums. Like he was
Oh, okay.
recording percussions for them, among others. So it's, yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool
Yeah.
stuff. If you want to make money, start a religion or do something to do with religion. So
Religion.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's usually
Yeah.
Christian music.
Yeah. Yeah.
use the music.
Oh yeah, Christian music is own circuit, right? Their own
You
scene, man.
know,
Yeah.
You
in
have
my
no
house,
idea what.
when I was about 7, 8 years old, we had my dad brought back a Raihan cassette, and that's
Mm.
all we listened to for a long time. We were memorizing
Whoa.
lyrics. It was
Serious.
so good. Yeah,
Cool.
dude.
There
There
you
was a
go.
point
Yeah, man.
that one of their albums we could just memorize everything. We'd go to school and during assembly they would sing the song.
It was that first
That's
album, lah, Puji Pujian, I think. The one with them on the
Pujian.
cover.
yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yo, so nice. Nice music.
I mean, it was just
Yeah.
good music, right? It was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
really nice, and maybe it gave you a sense of that's kind of like a Malaysian thing. So I have
Mm.
this, I have this kind of insight that not insight, but I think a lot of people overlook the importance of a group like Nasheed. This is where Malaysia comes into play, right? The idea of
Yeah.
Malaysia. This is where you have a group, a Nasheed group, a Islamic group that actually appeals across these divides in Malaysia to and I think Brandon, thanks so much for sharing that, because
Yeah.
I've already heard it on the word on the street was, yeah, even non-Muslims were singing along to it, and you are telling me your actual experience
First
with
hand
your dad
experience
buying that
story, like,
cassette.
yeah.
This was music that was Islamic in nature, but it somehow appealed to all Malaysians regardless of their religious backgrounds. So what's cool about it is that the intention of the music is like religious or proselytizing, right, or
Yeah.
da'wah, but the outcome is actually not so much that. It's something more cultural, it's something more musical.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like an advocate for that. Like I'm an advocate for art and music over all these other stuff that people fight wars over,
Yeah.
Of
over
course,
all
of course.
that stuff that shall not be named, that people have conflicts, and don't allow their children to marry other children, and that causes so much division in the world today, that makes people go out and ignore simple virus SOPs,
Ideologies.
ideologies, and beliefs.
No, it's the ideology is the worst thing. Ideologies,
Yeah.
ideologies over ideas is the worst type of
Yeah.
behavior. Like, because like
Definitely.
ideologies, people kill for ideologies, people fucking die
Yeah.
for ideologies.
I know
They have an idea.
it's stories,
an idea,
it's
an
just
idea
stories.
can be questioned. An idea can be like
But
taken
good luck
apart.
questioning an idea that somebody believes in, right?
But that's the
Like,
ideology.
really
That's,
strongly.
that's the ideological part of it. Like, that's when an idea
Yeah.
becomes an ideology.
It
and
becomes ideology.
That's when
Yeah.
it becomes problematic. Like, ideas can be questioned. Ideologies can never be questioned because, like, once it becomes ideologies, that's the problematic part of it. Like,
Becomes dogmatic. Yeah.
yeah, once it
That's
becomes
true.
dogmatic, yeah, that's the problem.
Dogma is the problem. I mean, but for me, the solution is music, which is why this good man, David Hasselbalch, wrote
yeah.
about
I can't even pronounce that surname.
is a Welsh name.
Is it?
David Hasselbalch, yeah, and
God damn
he
Welsh.
he wrote this book called Why Music Matters, and it's about the importance of music in all these things, in all these processes. And I mean, of course, music can be used in negative ways. It can promote ideologies in a negative way, in a dogmatic way. But in the case of what Brandon shared, you've got this. But at the music has an ability to bring
Absolutely.
people different beliefs, like to cross differences,
Mm.
or
Yeah,
to
of
bring
course.
people to understand different cultures and vice versa. You know what I mean? To approach differences.
Well, music was in
Yeah.
music. The initial music was maybe the initial language of human beings. Because prior, like as an archaeologist, prior to actual verbalization and crafting actual linguist, banging a stick off a fucking rock was was made. There's some research saying that that could have been the original way of verbalization between groups.
Like I mean, I'm of the position that I mean, it's very natural to equate music with language,
Yeah,
but
it
I'm
is
of the
music
position
is a
that
language. Like it is a
no, I
language.
mean, I'm of more of a position that music is a bit more than a language. You know, it's like there's certain things that music does beyond what languages do. Languages are very fixed in terms of
Mm.
the meanings, right? So we have
Yep.
symbols like car, cat, dog. These are very fixed symbols with fixed meanings. But
Depending on
with
the
music,
context,
you know, G
depending on the
major chord,
yeah,
Yeah.
strum, to you, you know, to Brandon, that G major chord might take you back to the first time you learn your G major chord, which is a different experience from what Derek, you know, had when he played his first G major chord. And we're not even talking about that chord anymore. We're not talking about the frequencies in
Correct.
there. We're talking about your experiences.
Just the function lah.
Yeah, well, no, that's the it has
sort
a
of
bit
yeah.
more than, you
I
know.
sort of agree with, but language can also do the same thing. It can like language can give you historical narratives, and it can express emotion as obviously it can express emotion as well. Like so, like I know what you're meaning about music. Like
Yeah.
music sort of does take us on where from
Music
where
is
language.
spiritual lah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah. It's
But
used a
beyond
lot
beyond language.
for
Lah.
but like
spiritual purposes.
you ask any actor who fucking like who goes into like Hawthorne or Shakespeare and stuff like that, and they'll tell you they've got spiritual experiences from reading those words. Like so,
Yeah.
like
Absolutely, yeah.
so, like
Absolutely.
So
spiritual experiences is to the
subjective
is subjective
spirituality.
to is subjective. Yeah, a great term. Subjective spirituality. It's entirely
I mean,
subjective
it's the
spirituality.
way
Like
that we kind of see music when we research it is that it's it is something that can go with languages.
yeah,
Yeah.
So if you're talking about music and lyrics, you know, there's always this interplay between
Yeah.
the meanings of words with sounds and rhythm and how you
absolutely,
organize that stuff together.
absolutely.
The same way that Shakespeare is musical, is lyrical, right? They use the word
Yeah,
lyrical
Yeah.
because it has to be said in a certain meter, right?
yeah. Of
And it
course,
has to be expressed.
there has to be a cadence
Um,
to the
there's a
language for to
cadence to it.
yeah.
But then you see the problem, the thing that I always try to emphasize when people, I mean, it's very easy to equate music to language, like music as a language, but as a music person, I think we got to give music more credit. I think we got to put music on a level that is on its own from language, that's different from language.
Okay.
Yep.
They complement each other very well, but when we say music is a language, then we are kind of undermining the importance of music. You
Yeah.
see, that's always been my position, is that we have to
Yeah.
think about music as that next, as another level. It interacts really well with words and languages, you know, but it is another, you're a singer songwriter, you're not a singer. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Mm.
I know
There
what you
is,
mean.
those two elements
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
be interactive. They're
Distinct.
not mutually, you know, inclusive. They're not the same thing.
No, there's
Yeah.
just
You see?
two distinct skills.
Yeah.
Two distinct skills. Like
But that's
Yeah.
I mean, that's
But
kind of like, I mean, it is, but it is very natural to think about music as a language. But
because it's music's
yeah,
always as human beings, it's always been there. It's been there from the birth of
yeah.
like the
No, but I think
like
the
music's been
description
there
of
from our
language.
birth as
No, no,
language.
but
Like
no, no, no.
mm,
But you have to be careful the word language. Because I'm coming from cultural studies. So when you
mm,
talk about language, you're talking about semiotics. Because language is all symbols and they're loaded with power, right? So I'm supposing, Derek, what you're referring to language here is in more the sense that music is a form of communication
exactly.
mm,
that goes beyond.
That's
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
as an archaeologist, I'm saying
Yeah.
as a form of communication is how
Yeah.
human beings communicate with each other. And when I
Yeah.
included music in that, it was specifically within the communication aspect of it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not a form of language. Obviously, then has been usurped as a form of power,
True.
symbology, and
True.
stuff
True.
like that. There, but for me,
Yeah.
it its original meaning in both music and language was forms of communication. From an
That's true.
archaeological point of view, both music,
true.
I
the
agree.
initial
Like,
point
I
of
totally
music
agree.
and the initial forms of language was the initial ways of human beings communicating within
Yeah.
groups.
And I
I
know
think
actually
human
as
beings
a-
would whistle first, right? I mean, I think maybe humans could whistle first. I know you can tell what whistle
It's,
means better than.
yeah, it's almost it's sort of impossible to no one. I don't think any of us has got the source of what who did what first when.
Yeah,
First,
that's why. That's why. It's
But, like,
interesting, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
there's
Hey,
no
like,
record of
well,
what.
you can
Maybe if
s-
it was
you,
like percussions that came about
you
first
can
or
sort of
something.
You like this?
you can sort of
Just whacking the ground or
you
something.
can sort of look at like analogous chimpanzee tribes and see how they react,
Yeah,
how they
that's true.
communicate with
That's
each
true.
other, what
Yeah,
their
yeah,
verbalizations are, and how they use sticks to beat the ground and stuff
yeah,
like that. And
yeah.
use their
How they
fist-
organize their open
Yeah.
mics.
Yeah, well, their open mics are shit. Their open mics are really
there's
poor,
actually
man.
an emerging field of anthropology and ethnomusicology on animals, on non-humans
On
as
Yeah,
well.
non-human
I mean, I think it has more to do with
musicality.
sound.
Yeah,
Sorry?
true.
on
Yeah, I mean,
non-human
it's
music.
yeah, non-human
Music.
sound and stuff like that. I mean, that's
That'd be
deep. Like, I mean,
great.
I can't.
Yeah, that'd be
I'm
great.
not
Like,
there yet, but
Hmm.
I mean,
Hey,
all the
but you know,
sounds
right?
people-
Like cats, right? They only meow at humans. Cats don't meow with other cats. So cats have this awareness that meows is developed because they know. I don't know how through instinct and
yeah, but
just evolution.
cats are pure evil little bastards.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
because they manipulate us. No, cats manipulate us. When
Yeah,
they meow,
actually,
they don't meow each other. You see a cat and a cat, they just growl or do something else.
Oh
But
man, no.
they-
But
yeah.
Asmi, I have to say though, when cats are in heat,
of course, yeah.
all you
They
hear
don't
is
give a
that
shit.
meow.
that's not my.
They're
That,
bonk
that,
anywhere,
those
yeah.
different sounds already they're making.
That one, yeah, that one.
Sometimes
yeah.
you listen properly, they're talking.
That's exactly
Yes,
where
yes.
that's actually where the Irish legend of the banshee came from. The cat in heat.
Banshee.
Fucking, the cat in heat. It's a cat in heat sounds like a child crying, and that's where
That's
the legend of
true.
the
Oh,
Irish
yeah, so
banshee
disturbing.
came
That's
from.
true.
Like, that's very disturbing to hear. Like, it's really
Fucking
disturbing
cat.
to hear. Weird. Anyway, the golden
sorry.
age of Malaysian music.
Oh right, yeah,
You
yeah.
veered off.
Golden ages.
we went right off of Billy Connolly's school of fucking like.
We somehow keep going back to sex.
Over there.
Telling you all,
Cats in
right?
heat.
It's always
We
sex. There's
somehow.
always
No,
sex.
this
at
is the
the end
first
of it.
time, Adil. This is the first time. The waiting room.
Well,
Really? What's wrong with your other guests?
Oh.
Yeah, it took 30 plus episodes
you've
before
got
we
you've
came
got
out.
you've got two repressed Malays and two repressed Catholics here. Like, so I've probably realized why it's all sex.
Yeah, maybe.
Everybody else kind of like fucking balance shit out, but when you got repression within sexual repression completely fucking deep, then sex is going to come up. Like, it's very.
Oh,
but
man.
anyway,
Okay, let's go back. Golden age.
yeah, the golden age, the film age of Malaysian music. So, like, why do you think it was so important to develop
Sex. Because of sex.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's important.
Boom.
That's true. Cinema. We're looking at things in cinema. You know, yeah.
Yes,
There you
Sex
go.
is just like music. It's another form of language.
I'll show you.
So
show
Cosmopolitan
you a
Intimacies,
picture.
so which is Dr. Adil's book.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this film, right? Golden Age of Malaysian music is the 1950s and 1960s. This is a film called oh,
Why don't you just look at the thing and tell us what
what's
the film
wrong
is?
with me? What's wrong with me?
I thought he was just trading his
Yeah.
memory, you know.
Yeah.
Like, no,
film
I'm not
called-
gonna look at the book.
it's hard
I'm
to
not gonna
remember.
look at the book.
This is a film called Ibu Mertuaku, which is translates to
Ah.
My Mother-in-Law.
Okay.
And it's kind of like this film where P. Ramlee plays this jazz
Classic film.
artist who plays a saxophone and sings, you know, and this woman is stroking her radio because this guy who eventually becomes blind is playing the saxophone on a live radio broadcast.
Okay.
And she's like, you know, she's just like taken aback by his playing, and she wants to just get everything. She eventually marries him, you know. But it's a marriage across classes. You know, she's a rich
The
girl.
best
and
kind.
not
The best
a
kind of
rich boy.
marriage.
The best kind of marriage, you know, and if, of course, it
Films.
ends tragically, you know, like any good story about musicians,
That's
right?
just movies, lah. Movies have to end
It's
tragically.
just movie. There has to be tragedy
So
in
what
movie.
Yes.
what was the general as format of Malaysian music and the films back then? Was there a general like Bollywood films? Was it sort of like a
Yeah,
Bollywood film where
they were
were they
inspired
structured in a
by.
certain way? Like
Absolutely, they were hugely inspired by Bollywood or South Asian films, and also even East Asian films.
okay,
And I mean, you have to remember that back then in the 50s and 60s, you didn't really have CGI for those crazy
yeah,
action sequences. So one thing that was used to entice audiences in a narrative, in a story, was music. So you
okay,
Yeah.
have these songs, right? These songs are inserted into the same way that we enjoy, like our kids enjoy a Disney film, or there's always music in there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The same way that not necessarily a full-blown
Frozen or
musical.
something like that. There,
Yeah,
where you
not
got a
necessarily a
song
full-blown musical, but you'd have the story, but then you have these musical segues.
interludes.
So
Yeah,
that's how the Malay films were, because
And
the
a lot of the
songs
earlier
were
directors
memorable
were from
parts.
India. Yeah, a lot of the earlier
The early
directors were from
directors
India.
were, yeah, the first few directors were from India, but that picture that I show you was actually directed by P. Ramlee himself.
okay.
And so, yes, that influence was huge.
Can I ask
But there was this
why?
weird argument that apparently the films directed by Indian directors still didn't really hit the nail on
Okay,
the spot with this Malay film aesthetic for the Malay audience. So only when P. Ramlee started making films did he really hit the nail culturally with
okay,
Malay
I
society.
understand. Can I
You know?
ask why? Can I ask why? Prior to independence, with the early Malay or Malaysian films, why was the British not? Did they not even take part? Were they just rulers of Malaysia and they didn't take part in the Malaysian film industry? Because they were involved
Yeah.
in the early radio industry in Malaysia and stuff like that. There, so did they just did they ignore the Malaysian film, the early Malaysian film and music industry
Okay,
completely?
so like I mean, to answer your question, point one is that there would be no film industry without the allowance of that from the British administration.
Okay,
And the British administration would have handled things like censorship. We were talking about that earlier today, right?
okay,
So they actually had quite a hand actually in what content would go out to the public that would be screened in cinemas.
really?
There was a film that was made by Piramli called Alibaba Bujang Lapok, which was
Mm.
set. It was like a Alibaba and the 40 Thieves
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
adaptation, and he had all the characters speaking in a very like Arabized Malay accent,
Okay,
very strong Arab
yeah.
accent, and it was really funny for the Malay audience. But the British censors found that it was potentially offensive to the Arab community in Singapore, and they had to, and they called it off, and they had to overdub the accents, overdub the dialogue, to not make it sound
Eight,
so derivative.
ADR back in those days.
Oh yeah, man, ADR was all. I mean, the music is all about ADR. It's all about
Yeah.
playback singing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they did it. They did some serious, like hardcore, difficult ADR on tape and reel.
Actually, a lot, but
Oh, that's hardcore.
this is trivia. Even up to the 80s and 90s, Malaysian films didn't have location sound. A lot was ADR.
It was all ADR.
Oh, and that's why
Yeah, a lot
they
did.
sound so horrible. The
Yeah, it
Really?
sounds sort of horrible. Yeah.
Oh man, there's no natural environment going on then. Like it was all
No,
No,
ADR.
you
yeah.
Like
hear like
Yeah,
everything
because you
sounds like
see
it's
any
in a
movies from the
vacuum.
80s and 90s, right? It sounds weird. What is it? Yeah. So
because there's
apparently
no
there.
because the natural environment of the room isn't being recorded. It's just all
Exactly.
post production ADR. Like that's nonsense.
There'll be whole scenes where they're outdoors and you
Yeah.
don't hear any, like there's no
Wind or
background
Ambience, yeah.
location
nonsense.
sound,
Yeah.
and then
Oh
you
man.
hear you hear this peak of gain comes on when the dialogue is in, and it's also out of sync with them.
Oh god.
And okay, that's an 80s Malay film. Okay, great.
But like,
Okay,
Yes.
the aesthetic.
sort of my question should be like, because of the British rule, generally the BBC were the top of the game. Were they not in charge of any quality control or anything like that? Or no,
Okay,
no.
they're not, because the films were all commercial ventures, right? The film
I
companies were
see. I
Shaw
see.
Brothers, for example, was these two brothers from Shanghai,
Yeah.
and they came to Malaysia. They came to Singapore and set up the company, and then they ventured into the Malay films. And then, interestingly enough, the Shaw brothers actually went back to they went to Hong Kong and established TVB, which is like the biggest
Mm.
Hong Kong TV network of
Okay.
all the soap operas that we watch.
Okay.
So we're very closely linked also to Hong Kong and to the
So
Chinese film
yeah,
industry.
like that's good. Like so. Okay.
It's
So
commercial. So the British, they want laissez-faire, right? They want to encourage, the capitalist economy, but they will control things of a sensitive nature, right?
but they're
That's
not.
why that
They're
upset
not. What they're
the
not going to. That was a weird British
yeah.
colonial thing. It was the same in Ireland. Like they want to ensure nothing outside the thing happens, but they're not going to pump their own money or talent into it
They're not
to
going to
ensure.
stem any good business because
No.
they're also tax-paying businesses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
Of course, of course.
that's true.
so yeah, so it's commercial ventures to this point that people regard films by Piramli as a national heritage, but
Yeah,
actually they're not.
they're all
So
commercial
here's another
ventures.
myth.
Yeah.
Piramli films made in Singapore are not a national heritage, my friends, because they were commercially produced. All
Yeah.
those films are in the Shaw Brothers archive, not in Malaysia, in Singapore.
See,
And if you want to access them, you have to
that's
pay.
another thing where I was sort of led to believe that Pierre Ramlee films were sort of like Malaysian produced films for Malaysia.
I
Not a
mean, it's like the
single
same
P.
thing that
Ramlee movie is Malaysian produced.
no, P. Ramlee movies, a lot of them were produced in the island of Singapore by a
Yeah.
private company called the Shaw Brothers
Wow.
Productions, and they are still owned by the Shaw Brothers Productions, which is
So
alive and kicking today.
so they still get the
They
royalties
own
and
the
stuff.
Yeah.
master lah, basically.
The
Yeah,
master, they have all the master, they
they
have
own
all
the
the
master
reels,
tips. They own the master tips.
Damn, Shaw Brothers.
It was a
and they
studio
sell
system, lah.
the
I mean,
rights to
yeah.
Astro, to TV3,
Yeah.
TV1, TV2.
So they have to pay royalties for that. Then there was
They
And
nothing.
have to
doesn't
pay
go to that. That's why Piramli doesn't get a cent. I suppose he was paid fees only,
Yeah,
right?
No,
probably.
he was paid a handsome salary
Yeah.
as an
Yeah.
employee of the Shaw
Salary.
Brothers,
Yeah. Employee.
right?
Yeah.
The studio system back then too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this people get a lot of Malaysians who are like, they
That's
think
the
about it as
ethnocentric.
heritage and
That's the
confused
ethnocentric
because
part of the Malaysian ideology, where plurality
yeah.
has been turned into this
So sorry
idol.
guys, you think it's a nationalist thing? Actually, it's a commercial thing, man.
Is
Yeah.
reality's
Yeah.
It's
reality's
not
a bitch.
heritage.
Reality is a
Truth hurt.
fucking bitch. Okay, so we'll leave it for that for part 2, and then in part 3, if you're still willing to go, Adil,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, man.
go-
We're on a roll. So
Yeah.
Can you
yeah.
imagine if others just like, no, I'm just not
fuck
really
off, fuck.
enough lah.
Can ah? Can
I
can
still
ah?
got more liquids to consume. So.
Adel realizes we know where he lives. We'll come a looking. So in part 3, well, the 70s. I think we're going to the 70s of the golden age, which would be great when actually.
And then
got
for
the
part 4,
independent-
5, and 6.
Oh my god. Okay.
Part 4, 5, and
You've
6,
got
we
the
start talking
whole
about Brent.
night.
Part 6, we start talking about Brendan the Cruise and what the hell we should do with him. So like,
That would be
Hey.
that may take us to about 4 or 5 in the morning. Anyway, right, guys, we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay. Right.
Cool.
Right.
Okay.
All
cheers.
right.
Thank you. We're into. Thank you, Seriously. We're into part
Still
3.
is surprising. I
We're-
keep forgetting she's
Yeah,
there.
we're into part
Oh,
3
she's
with that
always
Adil
there,
Johan
Brendan. She's
podcast.
always there.
So thank you, Adil, for sticking around for this nonsense.
No worries.
So the 1970s, the second golden age of Malaysian music, which I think correlates with, I think the second age still reverberates today because if I'm correct, the second age is when bands came really into the forefront of Malaysian music, and it kind of draws a question I've always wanted to know why cover bands still are revered to this day in Malaysia over original musicians. So I think it could be a good
Oh, yeah.
juxtaposition of that was probably the origin of cover bands being revered as the pinnacle of Malaysian music. Like, so can we go into that?
This is something like something that happens in the non-Western world. This is a phenomenon I think of. I can't speak for non-Asian countries, but at least in Asian countries or spaces in the 60s, 70s, because of this the top down circulation of records
Okay.
from the west
Yeah.
to the east or to the
Yeah.
south, there is this kind of like need to copy, right?
Yeah.
Or to reproduce that music in either in the same style or just like straight out copy. And even in the in the Malay language music industry of the 1960s and 1970s, this happened a lot more in the 70s. We have a word for cover songs
Okay.
that are basically like reproductions of songs in another language that are
Yeah.
written with Malay lyrics.
Okay.
So we call this saduran,
Okay.
lagu-lagu saduran, or saduran songs. And saduran is another in Malay. It's got a few more meanings, but saduran kind of means like copy almost, right? Cover, right?
Yep.
Sadur. But sadur for us means to layer
Yeah.
something, right? To
Okay.
to layer
Yeah.
something. So in a way, if you think about it, yeah, they layer the original English language song with Malay lyrics.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
were also Japanese songs that were done. So why does that happen? I think it's not just a Malaysian thing. It's like it's very prominent in the Philippines as well. In fact, we have some friends who are actually doing research on this already. Um, and it's a national preoccupation. Like, oh, we're so good at copying. This is a narrative that happens in the Philippines.
Absolutely.
We're master copy
Yeah.
artists. But what about our own music? So then there's a movement to make original music. So in the Philippines, they call it OPM, original Pinoy music, or
Okay.
original Filipino music.
You know,
And there's a whole movement, and it happens the same time in the 70s. Malaysia wasn't as nationalistic about it,
about
but
original
I think
music,
in the
which is strange because like Malaysia is
yeah.
quite nationalistic about everything else, but they weren't nationalistic about creating their own
Original
actual
music.
music.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
weird.
not
That's
not at
weird.
that time. I think because they didn't really. I get the sense from looking at all the artifacts from the 70s or the records. I think they were quite self-confident about their music. Because you've got the Singapore music industry, so all the record companies are actually still based in Singapore in the
Okay.
70s. You've got the Malay Peninsula, which is the captive market to
Mm.
sell that music, and you also got some cross currents with Indonesia as well.
Yeah.
And that the Malay language music is circulating quite well across all these markets,
Okay.
or at least the Nusantara space, right? So I think there was a relative amount of self-confidence, and also there was Filipino music coming in as well. Artists such as Freddie Aguilar was
Mm.
huge. Like, man, he was huge, man. He's a legend. So if you guys
Yeah.
get to pick up, for those of you watching the video, here's Made in Nusantara. So this is a
Yeah.
book
Represent.
we've
Represent.
co-edited with Michael A. Santaella, and with a chapters by myself and Azmil in it as well. We talk about that a lot, about the circulation of music within the Nusantara space. So that Nusantara is the local term for maritime Southeast Asia. And so
But
when
yeah,
it comes to
people like
copying, yeah.
what do you call him? Daniel Guerrero's grandfather, Soliano.
Oh, the Solianos, yeah. So
Yeah,
Alfonso Soliano was a
Soliano.
very important player,
Yeah.
and I mean, he has a Filipino name, but he's actually he's a lot. I mean, I would argue that he's more Malaysian than he is Filipino. Like
No, no, I
he's
agree with
yeah.
that. Like,
He's he's very, like, I think Malaysians need to remember that Alfonso
Yeah.
Soliano, he has heritage, from the Philippines, but the man grew up in Malaysia. His father was the one that emigrated to our
Yeah.
part of the world, to the peninsula Malaysia, but he grew up in
True blue
Singapore and
Malaysian.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
There was a period that I think he was in Thailand as well, but that's when he was older. So man, I mean, but it also goes to show that original argument that I had about nations, right, and
yeah,
countries. All
absolutely.
these borders are kind of
Arbitrary.
frivolous,
They're
but
arbitrary. They're just
you know,
arbitrary for you.
they're arbitrary,
Yeah.
but the people in it,
Imaginary.
you know, the
Yeah.
people in it and the music, right, kind of
Borders are arbitrary.
indicates.
Borders are
Yeah,
arbitrary. Cultures aren't.
Yeah.
true.
Cultures aren't.
Borders are arbitrary, cultures are not,
Aren't.
because the cultures are very strong and the
Yeah,
music is
cultures are
very
not.
strong.
Yeah.
The copy thing, Derek, I think it's like it's very like I'm sure you when you first came to Malaysia, you were probably kind of intrigued by the fact that everyone's
Dude,
doing cover.
I still like. This is why I wanted
Yeah.
this conversation because I knew
Yeah.
you would give me some insight on it. Because I'm still astounded. I still can't figure out Because where we come from, cover bands are looked down on. They're wedding bands. They're not taken seriously. No one takes them seriously. The only musicians who are taken seriously are people who play original music, and the musicians who play original music are the musicians who fucking. We're not professional. The majority of ours aren't professional. We are the bands who have got normal jobs, and your original music's done at the weekends or in the evenings, stuff like that. There, and then people who make their living from music and cover bands who play pubs and stuff like that. There, no one gives them any respect. I mean, I mean, almost no respect. You go to a pub and you see a good. You see a good cover artist and you're like, going, yeah, it's okay, like and stuff like that. But you don't give. That's about it. That is,
Well, here it's like, woo!
and when
Values
I moved,
are so
and when I
different,
moved
yeah.
here, it's literally the opposite. Where cover bands are the most respected artists, and original bands are almost ignored. And it's crazy to me because from my
Yeah.
culture, our culture is the songwriter is the most important person, the most important person. Everything else is supplemental to the songwriter. Songwriting more, and like when people argue me, no, really good fucking virtuosos, and I go, yeah, virtuosos are all good, and it's nice to look at a virtuoso for 5 minutes, but that's about it for me. 5 minutes looking at a virtuoso is great. I would sooner watch the worst fucking musician in the world play his own music than the best virtuoso play his own
Playing a
music,
cover.
play a cover. And
Yeah.
here's the biggest example which I always give that I've never had a good comeback from. I'll always argue with them. You know who Beethoven is, yeah? And they go, yeah. I go,
What?
you know who Beethoven is, yeah? You know who
Oh,
Mozart
David
is, yeah? You know who
Beethoven,
Mozart is. You know who Bach is. You know who fucking all these Handel. You know all these composers. Okay, name me one of the musicians who played in their orchestras,
Mm.
and they were
There
the
you
best
go.
musicians of their time.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
musicians who played
That's so
in those
true.
orchestras, who wrote, of those composers were the best musicians. That no one can name them. No one has
Yeah.
the idea.
But okay, so you kind of you've hit it on the nail, Derek. Is this kind of the kind of culture that you grew up in and that you were raised in
Yeah.
puts a value to the individual artists,
The
right? The
specifically
songwriter or
the
the
songwriter.
it puts a value to the individual,
Yeah.
right? That is composing the song, that
Yeah.
composes a song, that has a claim to the copyright and the intellectual property of that song. Because
Yeah.
Western society, a lot of it is based on valuing those individual achievements,
Yeah.
right?
True. That's true. Yeah. You're
Right?
right.
So
You're quite right. Yeah.
Beethoven, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Beethoven, right?
Yeah.
Who the hell played for him? Who cares?
Yeah.
Because Beethoven had his name on the freaking score,
True. It's
right? We
always
have
like
no recordings of him. Yeah.
Einstein, Copernicus.
Einstein.
It's
So
whoever.
these
Yeah.
names, right? And they tend to be males, and they because they were the ones in the positions where they could
Yeah. Yeah.
get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that's another argument. Okay, so
Yeah.
but let's talk about the individuals.
Yeah.
Now you come to Asia, right, and maybe other parts of the world. And you know this already, right? We have a more collectivist kind of approach culturally,
Yeah. No.
to our life. So if you want to talk about our cultural approach to things, there is a kind of collectivist idea. So the individual in Asian societies is not as important. And it's not as valued the same way that it has developed its value in the Western world,
Okay. Yeah.
which you grew up in. You see, so it's interesting. It's interesting to think about this because in the Nusantara world, for example, copying is, yeah, we've copied shit from each other, like, in since the beginning of time. Like, the think about the gamelan, right, and the gong cultures. There are gong instruments in the Philippines, there are gong instruments in Java, in Sumatra, in the Malay Peninsula, in Thailand, so that stuff just circulates. But there's nobody, the same question can be asked. So does anybody know who invented the gamelan and the gong?
No.
That's
No,
true. Yeah.
because nobody cares here.
It's quite.
Nobody cares who that individual is. Yeah.
It is sort of quite recent, especially within songwriting in the Western culture, because prior to the maybe about 1930s, songwriting credentials it didn't matter.
Behind. Yeah.
Especially in Ireland, songs were so like like
Exactly, yeah.
like Irish lilts were Irish lilts and Irish. Prime example. Here's a little bit of fucking family history. Apparently, apparently, there's a song that in the film Michael Collins. There's a song. There's a very 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 famous Irish song called "She Moves Through the Fair."
Right.
Now,
Oh yeah.
now Julia Roberts sung that song in the film Michael Collins. Now, apparently, my great great grandfather wrote that song.
Lovely.
But as per example, back in the day, no one wrote down. There was no fucking like they didn't write down that they wrote it like. So the idea of the songwriter become paramount has only become recent, and it could be a capitalist thing. It could be a
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah,
a
it
capitalist
is.
could be a capitalist
Yeah.
thing.
Intellectual property shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be an intellectual property thing because the original when he wrote the song it would have been pre 19th century. It would be the 19th century. It would have been pre 20th century. So it could be a capitalist thing of ownership. Of ownership became really prominent, and it took a while for that to become prevalent in Asia, like which is which shows it goes in the line of what you're thinking is like. Because prior to that, it was all more communal thing,
True. True.
completely more communal, especially with Irish traditional music. It was Irish traditional music. If you've ever watched Irish traditional fucking, you just go into a pub and there's guys playing music in the corner. You just go and join them and play the fucking music, like so, like
Everybody
So,
knows the song, right?
everybody knows the song.
Everybody knows the song.
The song is it's just lults. They belong to no one. They belong to the community.
Everybody, yeah.
That's what it was like. But like I still found it strange that the cover bands were respected more than the song.
I mean that's the source. I mean that's where we can start to get some answers to that question. Like why don't people I mean I think of course
Which is
of
weird
course
now
it's
because
a bit of a stretch for me to
for the three
Yeah.
guys here who are all songwriters, you, Asma,
Yeah.
and Brendan, who writes songs that I think should put you way prominently in the Malaysian music scene. I mean, you guys
I have
should
to
be the
also say,
most revered, and cover
No,
bands
but wait,
in Malaysia are still more revered than you guys, which is
I also have to say,
Weird
I
to me.
grew up not being exposed. I mean, I knew that maybe my dad wrote some songs. I knew that his brother wrote quite a bit as well, but there was no encouragement to,
Right. Yeah.
considering they were doing it, they wrote la, they encouraged you to read, but nobody said when I picked up a guitar, nobody even actually pushed me to pick up a guitar.
Yeah.
And when it came to picking up something, the first thing you are exposed to is these people playing covers as well. And so you go end up playing a cover as well.
well,
And then
It's a
I was
norm,
just
like it becomes a
exposed.
norm. Yeah.
well the same thing
Yeah.
happened in Ireland. You play covers at the start, but like I was
But
in a
there's
cover.
no there's no
I was
like
in a-
this exposure to songwriting,
Yeah.
let alone songwriters of the songs we were covering.
Like I was in a cover band for a year when I was 20, and instantly I was like, going, I want the fuck out of this, really quickly. I was trying to write my own music very, 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 very quickly, like because like I just found it soul destroying. Like you went and played covers in a pub, and half the people don't like you and don't listen to you. And like I was sooner half the people don't like my own songs, I write not rather than half them don't like the songs I'm playing of somebody else's.
So if you're like up and about in town or what, and you're walking by bars with live music and all, more often than not, it's original music.
No, it's all covers. It's all the majority of
But it's
Okay.
not
I mean,
valued.
I mean, you know,
the,
even
the original
even-
the original music is in venues, specific
Yeah.
venues, like
Oh,
they
that's
would,
similar to here lah then, in a way.
I mean, because even like in the 90s, even with the indie bands happening, the bands were still playing covers, and they were playing
Yeah,
Nirvana, for
correct.
example, to get the crowd.
Even
probably.
today, in
Even
our
today, yeah.
festivals, the local bands
the
are
worst
playing covers.
the worst
Yeah.
example the worst example
You
I've
know?
ever seen of that was when I first moved here, and I was here about a year, and me and Maria went and seen what do you call him, Jack Black's band. Tenacious D.
Oh, Tenacious D, yeah.
They played
Oh,
KL.
yeah.
They played KL live, and I don't know who opened it for, but
Kyoto did.
Kyoto.
Kyoto
Yeah,
Protocol did.
I sort of been told by other people it was Kyoto who opened it, but I didn't know at the time who Kyoto were because they'd only been here in Malaysia a year. But they played one original song at the very start, and then instantly they started playing cover songs, and it was just Bon Jovi, and then every song then for their next half an hour of a
Oh,
set
serious,
was all cover songs, and the crowd loved it, and I was fucking livid. And I looked at them, and I went there, and I looked at her, I went, do you know what would happen to a band in Belfast or Dublin if they pulled that shit? They would never get a gig again. They would
Yeah.
literally never. You
Yeah.
get a chance to support a huge band in one of the major venues in our cities. Your job is to blow that band off the stage with your music. It is not to play someone else's songs. And in fact, your thing is every time you get on stage, it doesn't matter what you're doing, is to blow every band off the stage with your
True.
music. That's your attitude.
Yeah.
The idea of you getting on stage and playing someone else's music, cover music, to impress the crowd is anathema to me. It's absolutely.
Yeah, that's,
See, Derek,
again, that's very collectivist, lah, as Adil said. Yeah, yeah.
collectivist, but the source of the problem is also the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
The
but-
source of the
but we
problem
wouldn't
is the
have cared.
level of appreciation.
In Ireland,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have cared. We would have went up and played our half an hour set of our own music to our own standard, and we wouldn't care if the crowd liked it or not, and then walked off the fucking stage. Like, and the promoter, we would ask the promoter, were we any good? Yeah, okay. But like to acquiesce to the crowd by playing covers is insanity. To me,
Yeah.
it's just fuck.
Yeah.
And I was looking right now, and I'm going to the bar. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. They played fucking Bon Jovi, fucking "This Is My Life" for fuck's sake. Like, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen from a live band.
Wow,
supporting
Kyoto
a
actually
huge-
played. I was at that gig. I don't remember them.
That was the first song. That was the first song that they played, the cover song, because they opened up with their own song. I was like, okay, that's not too bad. And then they
Yeah.
went straight into Bon Jovi's "This Is My Life," and I go, I'm
I
disgusted.
must have shut off after they went into the cover thing.
Dude,
I don't remember. I remember the original stuff.
Yeah,
I don't remember them
was
doing a cover.
so angry. I was looking around and going, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This was
Yeah.
crazy.
That was a bad move. They shouldn't have done that. They should have just. They had this the opportunity to
exactly.
play
You
to
got
open for
opportunity.
Tenacious
No,
D.
you got the
like-
opportunity, not the opportunity to play with it. You got the opportunity to blow Tenacious
So I
D
think
off the
you gotta
fucking
get for your
stage.
next session. You gotta get Fuad on the
What
podcast.
the fuck? Wait, I
ask him
thought
about
that
the-
was the Zoom voice or something.
Which voice?
Talking
Who,
that
me?
close.
Oh, sorry. Was I too close?
No, continue.
You
I
are
was
now
like-
recording.
That's why I was like, hey, it's a new Zoom voice.
But you want to make it ask who had to justify his fucking bullshit, like.
No, but it's interesting, this thing about what you call it, allaying the crowd, right? It's like, oh, they're not responding. Yeah, throw in the cover.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's,
Who?
who cares? Yeah, that's the thing.
cares?
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
cares? Like, if you
Exactly. Who
if you
cares?
stick to your standard as a musician, play your
Yeah.
songs to your standard. Who cares if they respond to you or not?
That's true.
It takes us a long time to get out of that mold. Like, I mean, when I talk to my friends in the jazz scene, it's like all they do is play covers, and all they want to do is play covers. Because I'm sorry, my friends in the jazz scene, you guys are not writing your own songs.
Yeah,
You know, but at the same time,
but
I
they
don't
don't care.
blame you
They-
because
they don't
those are the
care.
gigs that you get.
But
You know,
the
the
jazz-
gigs that you're playing is because
Unfortunately,
These
the jazz
covers.
scene don't really care how the audience react either, because they're so locked in their own wee little bubble of how the musicians on stage are ego
Cover
stroking
gigs
each
pay the
other.
bills, lah,
Like
sometimes.
no, but the jazz scene
Becomes a
jazz-
job, lah.
The
Yeah.
jazz scene is a lot about ego stroking amongst each other on stage. Like, there's a lot of guys ego stroking, so they don't. Half the time they're not even aware what the crowd are fucking doing anyway. Like,
yeah, that's another problem. Like,
they're ego
yo,
stroking each other. Like, they go, oh, he's played a nice solo, and that guy played a nice solo, and the other guy played a nice solo, and they're looking at each
I
other.
mean,
and they're
they've
ignoring
got
the crowd.
they've got originals though. I mean, like
They do.
you know,
And
they do like
prime example, a band like WVC, he's got 6 albums
Yeah.
of fucking really
all
fucking good
originals,
pop
yeah.
fucking jazz songs. Like, and they don't play covers. They just play their own fucking tunes. Like,
Yeah, and they do feature
Yeah.
shows. So good job, Chess Young.
yeah,
Like keep that up.
Yeah.
exactly,
Respect.
exactly.
Respect.
They
But
don't have to fucking play covers. They've
then
got
again, it's like when you're a jazz musician, it's like you're trained to be a musician, not an artist. Like Marcus Young, highlighted this to me. It was like you can be a musician or you can be an artist.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
and for people who go through the institution of learning music, for Asmil and Brandon, that's a given. You guys are
Yeah,
artists.
yeah,
But for
exactly.
those
That's a
people who like
great
myself
point.
who got trained in music,
That's a great
you-
point. That's
we
a
don't
great
know
point.
the different, for us, we just want to play. We want to play those scales, we want to play those
Cla-
songs,
like
we want to do
classical,
really well. That's it,
classical musicians are locked into the trained
See the
musician
face.
category. They'll-
Wanna play
I-
scale?
there's very few classical musicians who'll ever be an artist.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Like they're locked.
But I
into
guess
the-
it's also that I guess a classical musician also, yeah, they don't really care about that
no, they don't.
as
They don't.
much, right?
I think it's what you're exposed to, lah,
Yeah.
and how
No,
you
but-
were raised, how you were, the society you grew up in. Like
Think-
sometimes
yeah.
when I hear Derek talk about, or not just you, lah, like even in the trips going abroad, just to Thailand, my first time I was in Thailand and I played an open mic. This was just a couple of years ago. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, this is my first time, the first time I'm playing my stuff in another country. And if I do this more based on what I've done regularly at home, I'm always to a half empty
Yeah,
space or an
that's true,
empty
that's true.
space and all that. You don't know what's
Mm.
happening. But this place, dude, it was just the bill with a bunch of other singer-songwriters from different parts of Asia. And the minute the show started, no matter who was there, everybody just came. Everybody was listening. And I'm talking about 50 to 70 people in a crowded spot, just
Yeah.
hustling up just to, hey, come, let's do our man.
Check
And
it
I was
out.
like, man, this doesn't happen in KL
Yeah.
at all,
Avadi
aside-
Cup, Thailand, you guys are awesome.
I was
Important
just
to
like-
no, that's it. Yeah, that's important to go out and play different places where you're not
Yeah.
comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
different.
can
Yeah.
you imagine if that sort of support is all around Asia, and for original music, and not your live. I mean, I do it. I do the covers. It's that just now you're talking about
The covers are Charlie
Stay-
Macan. The covers are Charlie
Yeah.
Macan.
Understandable,
because
yeah.
without doing the shows, I'm
Yeah.
thankful for that
Yeah.
dynamic also, because without that dynamic, I couldn't have been doing this as a full-time job.
I'm not saying no one should ever play covers or anything like that. There, that would be
No, no, no.
stupid.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be
Of
stupid to
course.
say. But
I'm just saying, like,
when it
how
comes to-
I grew up in.
I'm saying in the hierarchy of like who should be the respected musicians. I think the original musicians should always be the respected ones over the cover bands, and that's like you may get better musicians in the cover bands, but like I will always respect the original musicians because they're the ones who crafted their own. They're the ones who are creating new art and putting it out in the world, and I always think new art should always be respected over everything else. So like.
But honestly,
right.
Derek, like if you don't mind me interjecting here, it's like
Go.
honestly, in the since we're talking about the history of it, right? Like in the end, in the history of Malaysian popular music, at least popular music, the original songs are still the ones that the artists that sang their own
Yeah,
songs
of course.
and the bands that did their own songs are still the ones that are remembered today.
Dude,
Yeah.
dude,
That's
the
true.
first 5 years of me doing original, like I used to do fucking like I used to be Shanghai Sisters sound engineer. The first 3 years, every single gig to be a Pyramid song, and you're chatting about this is a trio of 3 Chinese girls with
Yeah.
WVC backing them for every gig, like, and there was always at least 1 or 2 Pyramid songs, and that, like, so like the good original songs are the good original songs always going to be fucking played, like, and that's my argument. Why can't be the new good original songs be your fucking good original songs? Like you're playing songs from
Yeah.
50 years ago. They're the good original songs back then. Why can't the good original songs now be your good original songs? You don't need to play covers. You can write your good original songs. That was always my argument. Like,
But here's another argument, Derek, like to throw into the mix, because in the context of Malaysia, right? Malaysia being this kind of young nation that's like barely like 60 years old. there's this people are also looking for that heritage, right? They're finding ways to find a sense of identity in an area and space where that identity is really unclear. So, and it's like for musicians themselves, it's like a jazz, the jazz, I think the Shanghai Sisters are a great example for jazz musicians and singers that are trying to break different language barriers, yet also represent themselves as Malaysian. They have to draw on that resource,
No, I
which
agree.
already is very limited and it's already very contested, right? I already talked about how problematic it is to call P. Ramlee's music Malaysian, but at the same time, he's the default. So at the very least, like I would say if you're gonna do a cover, like there's already this challenge where Malaysian jazz musicians and artists are not even covering Malaysian music enough. You're gonna cover it, it's in your craft, but you're not covering enough of the local stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
You see, do you know what I mean? So it's like at least to create a
Attempt
sense
that,
of
yeah,
that identity.
that's true.
So I mean, maybe we can talk a little bit in the next session if you guys want about the Malaysian Rail
You
Book, which
you
is the
ready?
project that I'm
You
involved
want to
in.
do the next session? You okay to do the next
Yeah,
session?
I mean, we can do another short session if you
Okay,
guys
we'll do
want.
another short because this one's about to go in a bit of minutes here.
Oh, we
So
don't we don't have to. We can just shoot the
no, no,
shit. It's
no.
fine.
Like
No, no,
no,
no,
no.
you can.
We need to reach a conclusion here. We need to reach a conclusion, and you're obviously in the farm for a conclusion. So next session
Just
we'll reach a
just
conclusion.
call back immediately, lah.
Yeah, yeah.
Call back immediately lah.
Yeah, just give me
Yeah.
yeah, just 1 minute, and we will call back straight away. Okay.
All right.
And we're here. Shut up, Sherry. And we're here with part 4
Lovely.
of the Adil Johan podcast. Welcome back, Adil. Thank you for taking
Thank
part in this
you.
nonsense.
Good times, good times. Yeah, I was gonna I was gonna like start with a story
Awkward.
about
sir.
about
Tell us,
how
tell
like
us.
this is a bit of a sausage fest here today. But
Every
in no
day,
way is
nearly
this a
every day.
reflection of our of any form of chauvinism or stance against women or people of different of different gender identities and associations. Like I'll put it out there, like I am not a chauvinist, but I apologize if anything that I say accidentally comes off as such. Um, but here's the thing, like I mean, like gender in Malaysia is something that people overlook a lot, because like gender fluidity is something that is an inherent part of Southeast Asian and Malay society. It's just that it's been increasingly we've made it we've like nation states, we've made the boxes of gender a lot more strict, as the way that we practice religion becomes more strict, and the way that society becomes more conservative over time. um I was just gonna say that, uh, yeah, I mean, like it's a lot easier. Like men can get away with a lot, like with what we say. Um, we can be chill, we can be cool, but women always have to look out a bit more about what they say because there are men out there ready to judge them. That's the problem. And actually, there are women out there that are also judging women.
Oh yes,
But,
yes. They're
So
double lah.
yeah. So
Men
you
and
got to
women.
deal with
That-
with
that is
chauvinism and
that is always
inequality in
from
two ways.
from what I've seen is always boils down to religious indoctrination. From
Yeah,
what
it's
I've
very,
seen,
very
Yeah, I mean,
male, very
always
male. Yeah.
religious indoctrination.
I think
The
in
males-
Malaysia that's
the
very
ma-
much the
it's
case.
not just
yeah.
it's not Malaysia. It's every like I come from an Irish Catholic background. Like so like
Men.
religious indoctrination and male indoctrination just they
Yeah.
coincide with each other. And then the women who actually jump on board and judge the other women, they're indoctrinated as well. Like it's got nothing.
Of course.
Like
Yeah.
it is like it's. I don't see it as a societal thing. I see it as a once again we go back to the ideology thing. It's an ideological
Yeah.
fucking like construct. Like this is what they believe in, and then they project it on everybody else.
Yeah.
It's
Forced on it.
this is something that's really like close to my heart because Azmil and I are both fathers of daughters, and we want to raise our daughters to be empowered, with who they are. And we want to facilitate that, but we are also surrounded by a society of men that are kind of doing the opposite of that
Yeah,
with their
absolutely.
daughters. Well, they are doing the opposite of that, and I hate seeing that. And as a Malay Muslim, it's very difficult for me to comment on that. You know, so
When I see when I
yeah,
see
so
when I
so
see,
like
when I see
yeah,
5-year-olds wearing the tudung,
yeah, the tudong, yeah.
it's crazy because
Why?
like exactly why because like
Mm.
because I've been told like oh this tudung's about modesty and my instant argument what's a 5-year-old got what modesty does a
Yeah.
5-year-old got to
You know what they say
cover up?
to us? Like when we ask, so why you got your kids started wearing the tudong? They say, oh no, it's just so they get used to it. It's practice, you know. It's like, you know, you gotta practice your do re mi, you know, so you can play that song. So you
Oh
gotta
god.
practice wearing that tudong before you reach puberty, so that when you reach puberty, ain't no thing. You got the tudong on, like it's a
Yeah.
part of you. So
It's like
Yeah,
like
normal.
yeah, so
that's
that's
nonsense.
problem.
That's pure fucking
Yeah,
nonsense.
I
Actually,
think it's
the
a
plus the
control
plus the
thing,
plus
you know.
side the plus side might be like because they put it on so early on them, they can't wait. The girls can't wait to rip it off at a younger age. Okay, enough of this stuff. Yeah, but it's so
But
true that imposition is.
What they'll never understand, what they never understand is like what happened with us in Ireland with the Catholic, like any when you try to impose something on young people, they will always react in a
well,
certain way.
Yeah.
Young Catholic boys and young Catholic girls in Ireland were the most fucking society liberal and craziest groups. They're the ones who reacted. The they're the ones where the elastic bounced back the hardest. They got on the crazier shit than you could
Yeah,
control.
yeah,
So like
that's true.
and like for me, it's the same thing. I can see like where young Muslims will the same thing will happen. Like
I mean, this kind of
Yeah,
stuff is
especially
happening
with the
every
internet.
day.
Say especially with the
yeah,
internet, like you
Look,
can't control
yeah,
like fucking these kids.
no, stuff is happening every day. It doesn't matter if your daughter is wearing a tudung or not.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like if you are not educating, if you're not having open discussions about sex and sexuality,
Yeah,
you know, you're gonna have young children and teenagers are gonna go out there and experiment,
Of
whether they
absolutely.
course.
wear a tudung or not, whether
If
they
you
pray
tell them
five times a
if you
day.
tell them this
You
is the
know,
worst thing in the world, they're gonna go fantastic. Let me try and find out how bad
yeah.
it is. Like because
And you know,
we all did it. We're the fucking case
Yeah, yeah,
samples.
we're out
Because
there.
we were all
no,
told
no,
this is the
but you
worst
know,
thing.
the simplest statistics that you know the in Malaysia and the east coast of Peninsula Malaysia has the highest.
For
They've
porn.
done the research. Okay?
For
Yeah,
porn.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
the most
The most
conservative state.
conservative states in Malaysia are the states where the most had the biggest
Porn is produced,
no not
Not
produced
produced. No.
watched
Produced
consumed. Yeah,
consumed.
in the world.
If you
Not
go on if you
in
go on
Malaysia. In
if you go on
Malaysia.
Oh, in Malaysia, in
if you
Malaysia.
go on the Pornhub and see where the most porn is watched in Malaysia, it's
I don't have
all in the most
Pornhub. What are you talking about, Derek?
Yeah, Derek. What is
Don't
Pornhub,
assume.
Derek?
In Ireland, yeah. Just
hold on
yeah,
hold on
Ireland, yeah. Ireland you can.
my
Yeah.
halo's slipping but with like if you go on the Pornhub obviously does like where most porn is watched and stuff like that you can see where it's watched in whatever country in whatever state in the most
The red
conservative states
zone.
in Malaysia the most porn is watched that's very simple
Yeah.
like so like
Yeah.
What state is this?
whatever conservative state Kelantan
Kelantan, Terengganu.
Turkmenistan whatever you
Afghanistan.
all the stands
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, generally speaking, that's the interesting stats, right? That whenever a place where it's more repressed, actually, that's where the sort of reflex of the youth.
Yeah, it is. It's the elastic band. It will literally bounce
Yeah,
back to you. Like it will literally bounce
yeah,
back to you.
yeah.
I wonder, like, I mean, in reflection, I wonder what the state of alcoholism is in Malaysia, right? Like, like alcohol, like since the MCO, like, there's
Let's
this
check.
been this
I'm gonna
vicious
Google
effect,
it now.
right? I mean, nightclub
Weirdly,
Yeah,
culture, pub
where's the
culture,
stats
weirdly,
on that?
mine,
shut
Yeah.
down.
weirdly, as someone who drank a lot of alcohol, who still does drink a lot of alcohol, mine's has gone down, and I come from a culture of alcoholism, like a complete culture of alcoholism.
That's true. That's
But
true.
mine's has gone down
Kerala.
during the MCO. Like
Scales are higher there.
I think Brennan also can agree. His has gone down through the MCOs. You
I
haven't
mean,
drunk
I
as much.
just generally don't drink alone.
You don't drink as
So
yeah.
I'm not at home watching TV
Yeah,
having
yeah.
a beer. No,
Like
I
I
love
Right.
drinking with people,
yeah,
bro.
I love drinking with people.
So the
I love
MCO
drinking with
has
people.
stopped me from drinking with people.
I generally will have a one or two beers on my own where I'll just sit and have a beer. But I think prior to the MCO, I would have a lot more beers on my own. And Marina can attest that since the MCO, since the lockdowns happened, I've sort of realized my own problems with alcohol, and I've stopped drinking as much on my own. Like so, in a
Kind of
weird way, it's sort
detoxified
of
yourself.
healthy.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's a
also
weird.
money, lah.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
That's
gotta.
true.
good
Yeah,
example.
Yeah,
Like
you know,
have as much
it's
Of
just
income.
course.
like because
It's
no
not cheap
jobs are
here.
coming
yeah,
in.
what can I afford? What can I afford to drink as well? Like it's a good
That's true.
example. Like so, like, but
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
Well, there's
That's why you
always
make it.
tea.
You're not drinking lighter fluid. That's fine. Yeah. Well,
And I have to say,
Lighter
yeah,
fluid
as much
or perfume.
as fantastic
or Listerine.
as fantastic as tea is never as good as alcohol. But tea is
coffee,
fantastic.
lah,
Like,
coffee.
coffee's
Yeah,
Coffee is the
stimulant. You need
addiction,
something
right?
stronger, lah. That's why they say,
Coffee.
right? A lot of recovering alcoholics will say, like, yeah, the strongest drink stuff I drink now is coffee. Yeah, because it's stimulant, right? It gets you.
it's still a stimulant.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I can't drink coffee because it raises my anxiety levels through the
There
fucking
you go.
Oh,
roof.
does
Like,
it? All right.
oh, it pushes it completely through the roof. Like if I drink
More
one cup
coffee
of
for
coffee,
you.
my anxiety just goes crazy. Like, which is weird because I can drink tea all black. I drink black tea. I can drink black tea all day long. Like I'll be fine. But one cup of coffee, my anxiety levels just.
I was just telling Adil earlier, like, I'm a recovering coffee holic. So I've cut down coffee in the last month. I
For
cut,
Ramadan? Yeah.
yeah, I just drank, like, I used to drink a lot of coffee, but around I just like experimented. So I had like one white coffee a day and I was fine, man. So I'm recovering. So I'm not
how
off the
many did
wagon
you
with
used
coffee.
to have? How many coffees did you used to have?
I was maybe I would use a press, and the coffee
Yeah.
press. And I would have 3 cups a day, 3 mugs.
Jesus. That's like
Yeah.
that's like fucking.
Yeah, that's
Like
about
me.
where I'm at now. So what
Yeah,
my
I'm
I
there.
do is I make half cups, lah.
It still can be done. Can be done, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to-
Yeah, coffee is the addiction.
yeah.
It's a
Coffee.
nice
Yeah,
is-
buzz,
guys,
man.
music.
Now I
Have
think about it. Cigarettes also I stopped. Coffee I didn't stop.
No, a man needs a vice. Since we're on the
Vice.
conversation
yeah,
about
that's a good statement.
masculinity.
Yeah. What is it? There's another saying. Everyone needs one bad habit and one addiction
Oh, serious, eh?
in their life.
Oh,
Or they will always
That's
have
very
one bad habit
encouraging.
and one addiction.
That's
So
very encouraging.
your
That's
addiction
dangerously encouraging.
could be smoking, or nicotine if you're a vapor, and your
Or like the
addiction
East Coast
could
porn.
be coffee or porn. Yeah, East Coast porn.
I think my bad habit is alcohol. I think my addiction is just being a fucking asshole.
You're addicted to being an
Love
asshole.
being
You're
an asshole.
addicted to being an asshole. Fuck, we have that on tape. Can you please leave that?
I think just
Can you
being-
please leave
I-
that in?
I just think just not fucking taking any bullshit of people.
It took 36 episodes to get here. 4 sessions with Adil Johan.
It's finally been revealed.
Yeah,
We
I
can
just-
finally wrap the waiting room.
I just think not taking bullshit of people, like just sit and listen and go like.
But that's different from
"Fuck off."
I'm addicted being an asshole. That's different.
Yeah,
not
that's
taking
true.
shit.
No,
I you don't come out a bit and then go back inside.
Yeah, you're like,
No,
oh shit, I haven't been an asshole today,
But I enjoy.
You're like, you're having withdrawal, like, oh,
No,
I haven't
but-
been an asshole
but-
today.
but- I think I enjoy the battle of not being passive aggressive. I enjoy the battle of just going straight
Just straight on.
just dive in, like, and I've always enjoyed that battle. Even in Ireland, I enjoyed the battle of like just going straight in with both feet, like, and especially
That's
in Malaysia.
healthy, actually.
In
Yeah.
Malaysia,
So you're naturally passive aggressive, but
No, no,
you
no,
have
no, no.
you enjoy
No, no,
the
no.
battle of
no, I'm naturally completely
not
fucking-
passive aggressive.
Not at all. I've never been passive aggressive.
He's
I've always-
naturally he's
Died
admitted to
and-
naturally being an asshole.
Yeah.
You're naturally an asshole.
Full-on
Yeah, but you're
asshole.
addicted.
No,
my
because
question
no.
is-
Because Dennis Leary has a song called Asshole, and he's Irish, right?
Dennis Leary
it's an Irish
stole.
thing?
Dennis Leary actually stole that of Louis C.K.
Of course, he ripped up everything. Yeah, he ripped off Bill Hicks. He ripped
Bill
off
Hicks
Bill
and
Hicks.
Louis C.K. But our totally stole off Louis C.K. Louis C.K. is
That's
also
true.
Irish, so it's okay. They say it's been an arse.
That's why. So you no, it's a heritage, man. You should be proud of that.
No, yeah, we're entirely proud.
I
of
wish
it.
ma-
Sitting there listening
wish
to
ma-
someone talk and just go like, "Nah, you're full of shit," and they just dive in.
Yeah, I mean,
straight under it.
Malaysians are passive assholes. Malaysians are assholes in the
Oh,
crowd because they
Malaysia's
feel,
just the worst country for passive aggressive assholeness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I've
we're all about the passive aggressive.
Oh,
man.
so
Yeah,
it's
all
so
about
bad. I mean, it's so bad. Like where you'll sit and watch, and like I'll watch an argument happen in Malaysia. I'm sitting watching this dickhead being a dickhead, and the rest of the people sitting watching going, where there should be in Ireland, the guy would be strangled by his throat by the stage, and the guys in Malaysia are sitting like kind of going, yeah, they're trying their best to avoid the problem.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
us.
going like, and I'm going like, I want to knock the fuck out of this dickhead. Like, I'm like, going, Jesus, passive. Sometimes being passive aggressive is okay, but like, in Malaysia it takes it a whole new level of fucking like. You're like,
almost
oh.
become a unique thing. Yeah,
Oh,
you should sell it.
That's how we were raised, you know. That's how we were raised.
Don't question it. No, fucking argue the point.
Exactly.
There
Just jump at
there
it,
are
man.
points though that we have to temper. Like we're so passive aggressive, we forget where we actually stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start getting
We
confused.
forget that. Wait,
As
no, this
long
is
as
wrong. Wait, no,
yeah.
I actually have to call this out. And that's
Yeah.
a tough one. And that's the kind of uphill battle that we have with ourselves. And as educators, right, Asmil, like to teach, like oftentimes, like as educators, we actually have to teach students to be direct.
Take a
and
stand.
express
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Ask
You can even
questions.
Express yourself directly. and
Be
ask
wrong.
questions, yeah.
Be
It's okay
prepared
to be wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Be prepared
So
to
afraid
be,
to be wrong.
wrong. Don't
Yeah,
worry about
yeah.
being wrong. If you're
Yeah.
wrong, you can always say, I was wrong, I apologize. Don't be embarrassed
Yeah.
about apologizing.
Yes.
I was wrong. I apologize.
It's very easy to apologize. Like,
See, Derek,
Malaysia.
I don't know if this is a thing that we've like. I don't know if we've inherited this from the Brits. Like, I don't know. Like, do you think it's a Brit thing?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
we
where everyone
inherited the stiff,
they start a
stiff upper
sentence
lip
with an
thing.
apology. Is like, you know, like that's.
Oh
it's
man,
a
I
very
hate, fucking
British
hate
thing,
that,
right?
man.
Yeah.
Yes, I hate that, man. You know,
I
like,
don't think I've heard Asmil ever say I fucking hate something.
yeah, fucking hate. You know, your Malaysians.
I think it's a Malay thing where they hate
Oh, maaf,
apologizing.
maaf,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, but
I don't. I don't mean to insult, but I want to. Actually, you are insulting, lah. Why you apologize for? I'm not. I don't mean to insult, but actually, no, you are insulting, lah. Why you apologize? You are, lah. Fuck off.
yeah, I have a colleague that does that, and this colleague of mine always starts with a sorry, but it's actually a direct insult or
There you go.
direct criticism.
When I hear
but
a Malaysian say
lost.
when I hear a Malaysian say actually before the start of a sentence, I know a lie is coming next. I know a
You
lie.
ready? Are you ready for it? Actually,
Once I hear actually, I know everything after the word actually is a lie, and I know I'm getting insulted to my face. So I'm sitting there, they go, and when I go, when I'm doing sound, I go, I sent you the channel list and my fucking like the actual the show file for the desk a month ago. Why is it not loaded on the desk, and why is the channel list not done properly? And then I get actually straight away. I go, okay. I lean back for the lie. I lean back for the lie. Then actually, sir, and then lie.
Yeah,
actually, Derek, you're not really an asshole.
I go like, yeah. Actually, you're just lying through your teeth. Motherfucker. These are the fantastic things I learned in the 7 years in Malaysia. That actually, if you say actually to me, everything after actually is a lie. For the next 5 minutes.
So have you started using that though?
No, I would never use that. I'll just tell you the truth. No, I didn't do it. It's quite easy. Oh, I didn't do it.
You just say
Or-
fuck you.
or if someone sent me a show fight, I would just do it. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
that's true. That's
Don't
true.
put yourself in the position.
Actually,
Actually, don't put yourself in the
Actually.
position. But anyway, Adil. So like,
Oh yeah,
okay,
We've
yeah.
just been going on tangents, lah.
yeah. So like,
all about the tangents. Yeah.
what have you got coming up? So like, we always give the guests. What have you got coming
To
up?
be very honest, I've been pretty burnt out this past few months. So I haven't been thinking much about the future.
Nothing with Nadir's got nothing coming up obviously with this year because of the lockdown and
Nadir
everything,
is
right?
Nadir has been on because of all these like MCO
Hiatus.
shit and all that. But we're working very hard towards album number 2, and
Good.
we're
Cool.
working towards a new single soon. We do have a song in the works.
Oh, excellent.
Now it's just the
Fantastic.
challenge of finding a way to come together
Yeah, yeah.
through all this adversity, so to speak. Because we're a band that we need to jam to
Yeah,
make
absolutely. Like,
stuff. We
absolutely.
can't, although we're trying to experiment a little bit with like working on our own, but it just doesn't work. Um, I think individually members in the band have been making some good strides. Of course, Maya Bayu is just killing it right now with all her
Mm.
singles and her album coming out soon. So shout out to her. We've got Santosh Logandran is working on some stuff. I mean, he does a lot of professional stuff. Ash is obviously doing his professional work as well. There's a secret project that's happening, and it's not so secret anymore. But Farid Nazir and his wife Ada Kahir have this hip hop project called Snitch and Fitch, and I
No.
really think you guys should have
We've
them
seen
on board to talk
yeah, we've
about
seen it.
Snitch and
We've
Fitch.
seen the cartoon stuff like that. But I thought that was more like they were doing cover songs of
Oh
metal
yeah,
songs.
so they started by pissing you off by doing covers, but that's their way of so that's their way of kind of breaking into. They
Ah,
have a lot of originals. I'm gonna reveal here that they have a lot of stuff in the work. I'm so excited to hear their stuff, but obviously they're gonna find the right time and right place
But
and way to get their music
let's
out.
just say, are they not just the cutest couple in the goddamn world?
They are so cute. I mean, they're so and
Yes,
hearing them together on
they are
their
so
songs.
secondly cute. It's fucking ridiculous. Like
But you guys haven't heard their original stuff, and it's
I
like
heard,
so
I've heard,
exclusive
have
right
you
now.
heard,
You heard,
Brendan?
right?
I've heard. It's fucking
It's
amazing.
so
Is
it's
it
like I
Something else, yeah.
really?
It's like I saw like first time
yeah,
I heard, I was like, what? Whoa, whoa.
Oh,
it's crazy.
I also don't want to say like anything.
yeah.
We wait.
okay,
I've only
okay.
heard one,
Okay,
but
but
this was like
let's wait for
2
that
years
then,
ago.
because those two guys are the cutest fucking motherfuckers I've ever seen in my entire life. Like
Yeah,
have
they
you
are.
ever seen two people who are meant for each other?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like, and Ada Kahir is like Ada is like, AKA Snitch, is an insane lyricist. Like, and she's done some the stuff I've heard for on her rapping is like in Malay, right? It's like stuff that I've never heard any other Malay rapper do. It's like because it's the language thing, right? Like the
Because
language of
yeah,
music.
it
Then
has to it
you
has to
know,
it has to bounce on the rhythms properly, like, and it's easier to do in English
yeah,
because
and
English bounces on the rhythms very fucking easy. Like,
actually, Malay it works well, right? I mean, Malay rhymes easily because a lot of the words end with the same vowels. A lot of our words in Malay end the same, so you can do a lot more with it. And Brian Gomez used to say that Malay is his language that has yet to be tapped fully in song. There's
Yeah.
so many things
It's
that you can
fun. It's
use
fun
that have
to. I find it
yeah.
interesting writing Malay because it's also the words are long. you know.
So you got to
Yeah.
rhythmize, find a way to
Yeah, it's
rhythmize it.
different. Very different.
But
Yeah.
there's so
Different
much
way.
English that has been written into song that there's so many cliches
of course.
Yes.
already
Malay is
that
still like
you
it's
tend to
the slate
repeat
is
it. Yeah.
clean.
Well,
It's
okay,
still
well,
clean. Yeah.
it's an untapped resource then, so we look forward to
Yeah.
hearing.
How
Yeah.
about
So I mean,
yourself?
I'm
Are you doing
excited about
anything?
that. Yeah. Hmm?
How about, are you doing anything on your own?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shoot. Yeah. Thanks. I'm trying to slowly revive my solo stuff, which I never got to record 10 years ago.
Ah,
And I'm slowly working. I'm slowly working on my own like production and pre-pro. But I think this is gonna be like a 1 year thing. Is gonna because I have to balance that with my academic work and shit like that.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it's gonna be like it's gonna piss Derek off because it's just gonna be like bubblegum pop jazz. Like that's like I
Dude,
just wanna do I just wanna make bangers. Like I just wanna make songs that are
dude,
like that you're
as
gonna
long
listen,
as long as it's
you know?
original music, it doesn't will not piss me off.
Yeah, it will be original music. Yeah.
Then it
It will
won't
be
piss
original music.
it won't piss
I
me
just wanna
off.
make really like
It won't
I
piss
wanna
me off.
make like no shame music that you can listen to in your car on the way to an
Yeah,
after party.
dude. As long as it's original music, I don't care.
nice, nice,
Like,
nice, nice.
I am I'm pretty much of an arsehole when it comes like I'm a goth and I like my
That's
fucking
twice now.
music, but like as long as it's original music, I don't care what people produce because
Yeah, it'll be original, so
as
maybe
long
you
as
won't
it's
hate it
original
that
music,
much.
as long as it's original music, you got nothing. I can't come back at you at anything else. If you're producing your own music, fantastic. It's the best thing I want someone to do. Like it really is the best thing I want someone to do. Couldn't I?
Thanks, Derek. I mean, it means a lot coming from you because I know that you're not sugarcoating it the way that Malaysians usually do.
Like
Damn right.
I don't like I don't like the adoration of cover bands. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I want good musicians to write their own music. It's the first thing I will always tell. Anytime I've ever met a musician, I go, "Do you write your own music?" And they go, "No." I go, "Well, then start writing your own music. Get it recorded, get it on tape, and have something that you can look back when you're my age, 45, that you can be proud of." That's the
that's
first thing I
exactly the
always tell
goal with
musicians.
with what we do now. It's like with what I'm doing with my own music, my own personal music. It's exactly that.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter how long it takes. It could be 1 year, two
yeah,
years.
exactly.
I want this to be something that I can look back on and listen
That's
to and be
all
happy
I
to
ever
listen to.
want musicians to do.
That's it. Yeah.
Just have a fucking storyboard of your music that you can look back and be proud of. That's all I want
Yeah.
for musicians. Because I don't want musicians to be my age and have nothing but a lineage of being in a cover band. Because no one will ever respect that. Because you'll always get the question, do you have a song that you've written? And the fact of their answer is no when you're 45, it's going to be embarrassing for them.
You're
Like,
right. Those they get forgotten. Like
yeah,
these amazing, talented musicians. If not
such
for
much, yeah, so much talent,
yeah,
and they've got nothing to show for the 20 years they've been in the industry. Nothing. Like, it's stupid to me. I mean, it's
and
crazy.
as we research this music, right? As researchers are doing, as we're trying to do not right now, we can't really talk about those who do covers.
Yeah, because
With the
there's nothing.
exception, although I would
Exactly.
say, with certain exceptions, though, Derek, like Paul Ponadure, I don't know if when you came to Malaysia, if he was still alive. But Paul Ponadure is this
Oh, he
Malaysian
passed away
legend
already, I think.
of a
Yeah.
musician. He passed away, I think in 2018, 2019. We talk about him
Hey,
in this
no,
book,
earlier lah,
No
earlier than
lah,
that.
way. Well
2017.
before.
Early
Talk about
2010s,
him.
yeah.
Oh no. He was it early to no no. I
Yeah, because
remember
I remember I was
2007. Is it?
there was this award I was given like lifetime achievement, and Paul Ponadure was it's like also receiving it. He wasn't there anymore. It was 2013.
Oh,
So
Mm.
he was yeah.
before you say that, one thing I need to say for this podcast before it ends, and it hits home because I've got uh, one of his fucking djembes sitting right beside me that he fucking like fixed.
2012 he died.
No, I shout out to Paul
Mm.
Lau.
Yeah, 2012.
No, I shout out to
Paul,
Paul
yeah,
Lau,
Paul Lau. Yeah,
who
man.
died this week.
Rest in peace, brother.
To who?
Yeah.
Paul Lau who died
Paul
this week.
Lau.
Paul Lau
Oh,
who died
man,
this
sorry
week.
to hear that.
Yeah, so
Mm.
like Paul, who was one of the who
Who's you got his djembe is at your place? Oh man.
Marina has a djembe and took it to Paul, and Paul refixed the djembe and stuff like that there, and did a good
Oh,
job
man.
with it. Like and Paul helped Marina with her percussion and stuff like that there. And Paul was a great
Uh-huh.
guy and stuff like that, especially
guy.
within the Malaysian percussion music scene. We all
Yeah.
we all should just raise a glass to Paul,
Yeah.
who was
Yes,
just
yes,
fucking
Paul.
a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, chill, man.
And he fought a hardcore
Yeah,
battle with
cheers.
cancer
Somewhere.
and eventually
Cheers.
died. Like so, like the Paul out. Anyway,
Paul was there. I mean, like he's good friends, really close friends with Joe Kid. And
Yeah.
when I was first gigging, that's why I knew him. Like 2001 at Old No Black Tie, he was there, man. He was always
Paul's been
on the
Paul's
ground.
around. Paul's around when I first started
Always
with
around.
Black Tie. Like he was there from the
Real
beginning.
trooper. Yeah, man. Fighter. He's a fighter. Yeah.
Sorry to hear about Paul.
Yeah. But yeah.
But just to bring it back to another Paul that we need to remember is Paul Ponadure. So
Of that, he's got. There was a picture of him in no. There's a picture of him in a black tie.
yes.
There's a very
he's
famous
kind of
picture
like
of him in
this-
a black tie. Is that?
he's
Is
a,
that?
like,
He's
he's
more
a
of a
Malaysian legend. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
is that
interpreter lah.
is that Russell's cousin?
Russell's uncle.
Uncle,
Uncle.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's Russell's uncle. Yeah.
So that kind of like that guitar thing where they plug in the synth guitar into the octave pedal and
Yeah.
do that funk thing.
So,
I don't
so
know. I
that's
don't know
what,
if that's like a really Malaysian thing. Like, I
no,
got so
no,
many
no,
Malaysian.
that's a back home thing. The nylon guitar thing is a back home thing as well. Like
On the
Yeah,
octave,
yeah,
is it?
a lot of people. Yeah, it's a thing that. Yeah, it's a style. It's a style of music. Yeah.
But that's where Russell got it from. Like, was his uncle like? Okay, cool.
So there's a
Legend.
whole like generation of artists that do that, and Paul was kind of like the guy, and he specialized in covers, but not in the way that a cover band does covers. Like he would do his own kind of interpretations of different songs. He had some
Yeah.
of his own originals too, but you go to see Paul to see how he does the covers,
Okay.
Yes.
not for the cover,
Yes.
but how he plays the cover.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he used to
That's
have
different.
like he was in Singapore in the Esplanade Harry's bar,
Yeah.
and people like Bobby McFerrin would come down and they'd be like, "Hey yo, you got to check out Paul Ponadure." They'll go down and jam with him. Wynton Marsalis came down and jammed with him. He got a
Yeah, man.
feature in Time
Time.
magazine as
Yeah.
one of the most like one of the most important influential important artists musicians in the world. so he's got that recognition, but a lot of Malaysians, I don't think a lot of Malaysians know about him,
Don't know.
so he's
Yeah.
one of those Malaysians that are not recognized enough by Malaysians. So we hope that like what we do, like what Azmi and I do with research and stuff like that, can find a way to give voice
Bring it to the
to
fore.
artists.
Yeah, bring it to the fore, please.
Yeah.
Because
So
the only thing you can do is like fucking like ensure that the
No, just writing about him. Just
the
write.
new
Yeah,
generation
just write. Yeah.
know about the old generation, like and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and respect the old generation, like because that's all we want. Like,
And just letting them know. I think having it in writing, because a lot of our
keep
especially music history is not there. Contemporary popular
Yeah,
music.
there's no music
yeah,
history.
keep the writing
Yeah.
honest. Keep the writing
Yeah.
honest. Like,
Of
like
course, of course, of
Adil,
course.
keep
always.
it,
Of
keep
course,
it
of
honest.
course.
Don't allow.
Yeah.
Our exposure to music in school is the recorder.
Oh, fucking recorder,
Yeah,
man.
you know,
Only
like-
thing I look
And
forward
it
is watching
stops
the
there.
recorder.
Yeah,
we were all exposed to recorders at school.
and it
I
stops
still
there.
have I have a
Yeah.
recorder right here for you guys. Check this out.
Oh, I also got one. My
All right,
brother's
come on,
got
give
one.
us a quick
Fucking
one,
dirty.
lah.
But Adil can jam one lah.
You seen
The
this?
saxophonist, right?
You guys seen this?
Oh, this one is a real pro
Gorgeous.
one lah.
Oh, that's the old school Irish one.
Interesting.
Can you play?
Wow, that's
can,
big, man.
can you play?
This
Can,
from a
can you
family
play
friend.
the Undertaker's intro on that?
It probably won't sound that great, but yeah, okay, that's about it.
See, we never learned that in school at all. Yeah, there you go.
Big one. I mean,
That's the-
I would be teaching,
That's the
like, I mean,
first
don't be-
official music performance
Music
in the
on the
waiting
show.
room.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the first one we allowed. Because you told everybody else now you're not allowed to play anything.
It's probably like fully like distorted on your end, right?
No,
So
actually-
No, it's all right.
Exactly.
It's all right.
That's very
So you can give us another one if you like.
recorders are damn cool, guys. Like, I mean, like you guys have been like, I mean,
Hey, where's our virtuoso, Miles Davis of recorder? Can you be it? Oh, there you go.
I'm enjoying Brendan trying to dance to this shit. Like,
So yeah, it's got some. I think this is a tenor recorder. And if you listen to The Mandalorian, the composer for that uses the main theme is done on bass recorders.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
There's like it's got this kind of vibe. It's got this kind of like
who's the composer for the Mandalorian?
what's it? Lars Goransson?
Is it?
Scandinavian or something, right? Oh, so that was a bass recorder. It's a damn nice theme song.
It does this kind of theme, which is freaking awesome.
Um,
And Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven.
Mm,
There's
of
little
course.
flutes in the background there.
Yes,
Ripped,
yeah.
ripped off fucking
More rip-offs, recorders. Anyways, yeah, recorders.
Okay, Asmal, Adil. So,
Ah.
so
Very.
we've got a couple of minutes to go. So, can you give us your hashtags and what you got going the next month for yourself?
Oh, yes. Okay, okay. Facebook is Adil Johan, ADILJOHAN on Facebook. Instagram is at ADILJ, Adil J. You can check out Nadir on Instagram at Nadir Music Official, NADIR Music If you can't spell official, then go to school. Uh,
Burn.
it's okay.
He
No,
just did.
But you know,
Azmil,
you have a your name. If you translate in English, is damn cool. You're a fair champion, man. Adil
fair
Johan.
champion.
He's
Adil
very
Johan.
fair.
That's true.
He's definitely.
I never thought about
He
that.
looks whiter than
Fair
me.
enough.
He looks whiter than me. So he does this.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fantastic. Oh man.
Guys, thank you
Good,
so
good,
much for having me. It's fucking awesome. And actually,
Hey,
I
thanks,
miss-
lah,
Thank
Adil.
you so
I
much
see
for
us
being on
now
the
and then, but I
podcast.
really miss the two of you guys. I don't get to see you because number one, COVID. Number two, family. Number
Soon
three,
enough, lah.
yeah, we need to go out and
Hey,
when-
Adil.
I
mean,
don't, on
there's
Tuesday.
a
On
Zoom.
Tuesday, yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a Zoom drink session on Tuesday. Are you up for it?
let me see if the boss can give me a. Is it around this time?
Visa.
No,
Visa.
it's anytime between 7 o'clock till late.
No, it's 8 o'clock onwards until we all fall.
7 o'clock till late.
Yeah.
How
till we
many of you
fall.
all are going to
There's
be in
about-
the session?
There's about,
About
20,
16 right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, 16.
Oh my god, how does that work?
So like,
Yeah,
it's
it's just fucking chaos, man.
people are just jumping. Like Roseanne's gonna be there, Dash is gonna be there, Ash is gonna be there,
Ash,
Jamie. Everybody's just
Hey,
It's
send me
funny
the
people,
invite
lah.
though. Send it.
Huh?
Send,
Yeah,
send
okay.
it
I'll
over.
send you. We'll send you the
I'll
invite.
be on
like, so, like-
MCO mode. So
Yeah.
So
Hanging out and videos hanging.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be in MCO mode. So like, we just decided, let's just have a night where we can all just get drunk together and just fucking just relax and just chill, like without having to worry about like being a podcast or anything like that. Or just blah 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 night. Like so Tuesday night because it's a bank holiday the
That
next
sounds awesome.
day. Let's just fucking do that. So like, everybody's on board for it. Like, I've got a mate from Ireland. He's going to jump on board as well. Like, so like, should be okay.
sounds like a blast. I'll bring
Yeah.
my recorder.
Bring your recorder.
Yeah.
Play some music. I've got djembes here. We'll just fucking do some sort of fucking kumbaya shit. Like, it'll be fantastic.
Play with that zero latency jam. Huh?
Yeah, there's gonna be loads of latency.
Oh, we want latency. That's the sound of Zoom.
Yeah,
Delay.
it's all
The
about
genre.
latency.
It'll be like
Ah.
fucking. It'll be pure.
Cannot
fucking
repeat live
Massive
one.
Attack. It'll be like Massive Attack. Pure delays, like on our fucking music. Okay. This
Less
is
than a minute.
all this last fucking 10 minutes is going to be deleted from this fucking podcast.
Hey, don't lah, leave it.
Nonsense.
Hey guys, take care.
Okay, be safe. Okay,
Hey, man.
lads. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Cheers, Flash.
We are
Yes.
out. Slancha.
Cheers.
Whoa.